The final floor of the Babel Tower is being conquered by Chu Ganyuk, or at least he is trying his best. However, the final boss, the Great Demon Lord, is proving to be quite sturdy of an opponent. Ganyuk is accompanied by his ally and his sister Hyeonji. Together they manage to put down the Demon Lord. Well, that was a mistake to think that the Demon Lord had been put down. Instead, he sneaks up behind Ganyuk and kills him. The next time Ganyuk regresses, he tries again but fails. This time his own sister turns against him. So Ganyuk decides that if he wants to defeat the Demon Lord, he has to wipe off all the hunters along with the Demon Lord, as that is the only way to save humanity. He believes that the hunters will eventually grow too powerful and will end up becoming a threat for humanity. So it all begins when the dungeon, Babel, appears as the Demon Lord and Ganyuk fight inside the tower. In midair, he crashes into a red-haired enemy descending with power. The foe laughs, declaring the end of everything as he crushes the hero. This opponent is the tyrant of the 12 divine seeds, the hunter humanity produced. By greed, the tyrant swears to take the hero's power for himself and slams him into the ground with force, seeking to absorb his strength. A pillar of light bursts from their impact, shaking the tower's core. Rubble flies as dust settles, revealing fresh blood across the cold stone floor. Suddenly, golden light cuts through the darkness and reveals Yancy. Her blonde hair flows as she stands firm, gathering energy in her hand to strike back. The tyrant turns, surprised by her arrival, but dismisses her as useless now that the hero seems defeated. She refuses to yield, and Yancy releases a skill that challenges his arrogance. Then, without warning, the hero appears behind the tyrant and drives his blade deep into his side, making the tyrant stagger in disbelief. He cannot understand how the hero still lives. With a smirk, the hero mocks his predictable carelessness. The tyrant sneers, claiming the wound is nothing and will not stop him. His confidence breaks when a surge traps him inside a magic circle he never noticed. Chains of Gleipnir erupt from the ground and bind him despite his resistance. The hero reveals his true might, summoning the avatar of Zeus to loom over the battlefield. Furious at this defiance, the tyrant demands how he dares, only to face the hero's contempt. With scorn, the hero admits he has already killed this demon lord 6 times before. A golden flash delivers final judgment. The tyrant screams as holy power and chains erase him. An explosion shakes the tower again. Unmoved, the hero pulls a cigarette from his pocket, lights it, and watches the aftermath settle. He comments on the trouble. Turning to Yonsei, he thanks her for the perfectly timed shield that ensured their plan worked. The memory shifts to a scene where a comrade, with tears, wonders if trusting him was a mistake. They stand among allies who ask why they were not saved. She cries, questioning whether his obsession with killing the demon lord was worth the cost. He answers only with another drag and a smirk. The truth emerges. He has regressed 13 times, and every timeline ended in the same disaster. No matter who won or lost, the world always ended the same: total ruin. The cause was a brutal war between superpowered hunters and ordinary humans. Some hunters, driven by twisted dreams of paradise, tried to merge all minds into one. Others went insane, and some lost control and became fugitives hunted by their own. Even old hunters and child soldiers were trapped in the cycle, their sacrifices feeding chaos instead of peace. Understanding that every rescue led to the same end, he throws away his cigarette, leaving his old self and accepting a dark new purpose. Facing Yonsei, he says his mission has changed. He will kill not only demons but every hunter who threatens the future. His grip tightens on his sword as the weight of the choice settles. Before she can speak, steel flashes with terrifying speed, a betrayal without hesitation. His eyes glow icy blue, erasing the hero she knew. He turns and walks away, expression hard, having crossed a line he cannot return from. Meanwhile, the tyrant burns with rage, demanding how a young man with limited power dares challenge him. He answers with a cataclysm of dark energy, drowning the hero in destruction. The hero braces, power rising, but the blow lands, piercing him with brutal force. Bleeding and hurt, he stumbles back while the tyrant mocks his past victories as worthless. Before coming here, he killed every hunter who could threaten the future, leaving no one to interfere. Thinking about his situation, he admits his strength is lacking and wonders if abandoning the divine spear, Longerno, was a fatal mistake. As he speaks of lost powers, the tyrant is shaken and demands how he knows forbidden secrets. With blood on his lips, the hero reminds him of their 6 earlier battles, all ending in the tyrant's defeat. The tyrant laughs, then turns furious, and releases a final wave of dark power. The hero lowers his head, accepts the end, and with a tired smile agrees to finish the cycle. A faint ominous glow gathers in his hand as he prepares his last move, vowing to destroy demons and hunters alike. He breaks free from the curse, and the story shifts to a new year under a dark, ominous sky. The demon lord appears above a huge modern city, voice like thunder, promising endless terror. A massive demonic face fills the heavens, vowing to erase the dimension and make humanity suffer. Suddenly, a gigantic wave of red energy erupts and engulfs the planet. This single event creates 288 dungeons around the world. From these rifts pour endless monsters, marching without mercy and threatening to overwhelm everything. Orders ring out and explosives are fired, but normal weapons fail and bounce off the monsters' hard hides. The creatures smash through defenses, spread panic, and force a retreat. With military power useless, the front lines collapse and there is no escape. A terrified soldier screams as a giant golem raises a fist to crush him, but a mysterious warrior descends from the sky and destroys the beast with overwhelming power. As humanity reaches the brink of extinction, a new kind of fighter appears, the hunters. They can summon powerful avatars, born from their inner will, appearing as gods or legendary heroes. Hope rises briefly, but a system message soon appears and reveals a shocking truth. The war was only a tutorial. Fear spreads as everyone realizes the nightmare has only begun. The Archangel Metatron descends, saying she can no longer hold back the invaders alone, and asks for help. She gives a mission: climb the Tower of Babel and defeat the Demon Lord at the top. They are given 20 years or the dimension will be destroyed. She offers hope, promising hunters can gain limitless power inside the tower and that the gods will support them, then disappears. The scene returns to battle where hunters panic because their attacks do nothing. One yells while casting magic, telling another to block before the rear line collapses. A young hunter refuses to accept death as a monster, leaps from the dark. In desperation, strange power awakens, his eyes glowing purple as he stomps and cracks the ground. The moment ends when he is blasted away, his body flying back and falling helplessly from the battlefield. Just before he hits the ground, a mysterious man catches him by the collar, holding a cigarette as if nothing is happening. With a simple flick of his wrist, the newcomer sends the huge beast flying away. The creature glares with its burning red eye, furious at being brushed aside so easily. Around them, other hunters are in chaos, running in fear from the monster. The hero Chu Gon-hyuk lies on the ground with a lazy smirk, while a caption reveals this is his 13th regression. The young hunter he saved remains stunned, still trying to understand what happened. Gon-hyuk casually thanks him for accidentally drawing the monster's attention. He then summons a high-tech avatar and tells it to scan the battlefield. As he gets ready to leave, a new squad finally arrives. They are shocked to see him sitting calmly, and accuse him of doing nothing while they lost comrades. A blonde woman among them watches him closely, recognizing him from before. He answers her silent question with a smirk and pulls out the same cigarette pack. Lighting one calmly, he says this is exactly where he wants to be. After regressing, he studies the holographic screens before him while taking a slow drag. The system names the boss as a berserk minotaur, and he checks the strength of nearby hunters, including Yansi. A worried Yansi appears, calling him by a familiar name and telling him to retreat. Her profile shows she is 19 and very powerful. Another hunter yells at him to stop spacing out and help. Angry, the man questions why Gon-hyuk is smoking instead of fighting, but Gon-hyuk simply tells him to wait 2 minutes. The hunter explodes in frustration, warning him he will die. Calm and unbothered, Gon-hyuk ignores them and walks toward the beast, despite Yansi's desperate calls. Seeing the monster is too fast, he decides the only way to win is to predict every move. The minotaur roars, locking its red eye on him. He dodges its giant axe at the last second and strikes back perfectly. The beast screams in pain. Gon-hyuk grins wildly, enjoying it. He spins in the air and lands a crushing kick, mocking the monster for leaving itself open. With a swift slash, he tries to finish it and sneers at his allies for struggling. The thrill shows in his eyes, but suddenly sharp pain shoots through his back. Shocked, he looks down to see the monster's arm has pierced straight through his shoulder. The minotaur's claws dig deep into him, its grip tightening to show it is far from defeated. Its red eyes glow with fresh rage, and its low growl promises a cruel end. His teammates watch in horror, their fear matching Yonzi's desperate cry when she realizes he has been caught. He clenches his teeth, frustrated as he understands his current strength is not enough to finish the beast. The minotaur's glowing eye narrows, confident that victory is near, and it lets out a deafening roar while tightening its hold, mocking him and threatening his friends. But Gon-hyuk stays calm and uses the monster's own movement against it, twisting his body to break free and delivering a brutal strike that cuts off its head. A system window appears to confirm the kill, leaving everyone stunned by the sudden reversal. The raid results follow, showing that he alone dealt over 80% of the damage. Rewards and titles flood the screen, proving his overwhelming dominance. With the battle over, his body finally gives in and he collapses, while worried allies rush toward him. Even in pain, he forces himself to stand, his face hard with determination. The others notice the severe damage to his knee and try to help, realizing the injury is too serious for basic healing magic. Inside, he curses himself for being careless at the end. Yansi pushes through the crowd in panic and kneels beside him, activating a powerful ability as green healing light gathers in her hands. A glowing flower of light appears, and soft green particles wrap around his leg, slowly repairing the wound. With tears in her eyes, she begs him to be careful, admitting she fears facing their family at the orphanage without him. A tear falls as she pleads for him to wake. His fingers twitch, showing he hears her, and he opens his eyes, gently teasing her for worrying more about the family than about him. His thoughts drift to their childhood together at the orphanage, and the kind girl she has always been. The raid leader Park Jung-dae steps forward to congratulate everyone, then announces the reward distribution. System windows appear before each hunter. Gon-hyuk checks his own reward and sees only common monster parts and a small amount of money, which disgusts him. He confronts the leader, calling the rewards worthless trash and demanding the real prize, the skill coin. The system confirms its value as a legendary item that grants a permanent skill and is worth a fortune. Another hunter explodes in anger, grabbing Gon-hyuk by the collar and accusing him of arriving late just to steal the prize. Calm and unmoved, Gon-hyuk leans in and asks a strange, insulting question that leaves the man confused, then smirks and compares his loud shouting to the barking of a small dog. The hunter burns with anger at the insult while a stunned Yansi watches the tension rise. Furious, he swings a heavy punch, determined to make Gon-hyuk pay. but his fist stops in midair as if caught by an invisible wall. The raid leader calmly holds the punch with ease and orders his subordinate to stand down, shocking everyone. Gon-hyuk narrows his eyes, recognizing the rare ability of the bronze giant Park Jun-dae, whose skin has turned hard like bronze, causing the attacker to wince from the pain of his own failed strike. To everyone's surprise, the leader apologizes and admits that greed had influenced him. He then offers the legendary skill coin, which grants the powerful one-hit kill ability. Gon-hyuk silently takes the priceless coin. With the reward secured, he and Yeonzi turn to leave. The furious hunter, now turning his anger toward Jun-dae, grabs his leader's collar and questions his sanity for giving away such a fortune. Another teammate steps in and demands respect for the captain. Jun-dae remains calm, explaining that it was not truly his choice but simply the rules being followed, his serious look suggesting deeper reasons. The enraged hunter cannot accept this and continues to glare, but Jun-dae adjusts his suit and warns him about his reckless behavior. The hunter then shouts at Gon-hyuk and Yeonzi as they walk away, cursing them and giving dark warnings about the fate of fallen hunters. Gon-hyuk casually cleans his ear, completely ignoring the lecture. He makes a dismissive gesture, showing he does not care. A worried Yeonzi asks if he is okay and fears his attitude will get them banned from future raids. He coldly replies that he never planned to work with those people again, and confidently says the two of them are enough. Yeonzi blushes at his bold words, left speechless. He lights a cigarette calmly and takes a slow drag, surprising her since she has never seen him smoke before. He smirks, pats her head and gives a flirtatious compliment that leaves her even more flustered. When she questions his sudden closeness, his playful mood fades. He takes another drag, his eyes growing distant as a painful vision appears of him holding a dying Yeonzi in a ruined world. The memory of her fatal wound lingers. Returning to the present, his face hardens with determination, resolved to change that future even if it means one day he may have to eliminate her. The memory returns to the orphanage, where a younger boy summons his avatar Icarus, and the powerful being playfully tosses a young Gon-hyuk into the air. He laughs happily as the other children join, floating around and enjoying themselves even though they worry Yeonhyuk will get upset. A furious Yeonhyuk storms in and scolds them for using their powers recklessly indoors. Young Gon-hyuk cheekily leads the others in teasing her, making her clench her fist in frustration as she angrily reminds them she is older. Determined to stop his mischief, she marches toward his room. The scene shifts there as he prepares to check his status. Back in the present, he thinks about his 13th regression and the centuries he has spent trapped in endless battle. His status screen shows a worn soul debuff, a permanent mark caused by constant fighting that has pushed him beyond human limits. His face hardens as he realizes this regression must be his last. An information box appears explaining that the world's coins are ranked by rainbow colors. He summons his sleek futuristic avatar, the Observer, to study his choices. The avatar stands ready while he considers the hidden potential inside hunters and their summons. Its status window shows many locked abilities, proving that true power is usually a gamble unlocked by spending coins. But after 13 regressions, he no longer relies on chance. He already knows the right path. With a confident smirk, he prepares to invest all 82 of his coins. Without hesitation, he confirms the prompt and pours all 82 coins into upgrading the Observer. Level up messages flood his screen as he smugly reflects on the massive value he has just invested in himself. The investment succeeds when the avatar reaches level 9 and unlocks a powerful new ability. He immediately begins synchronization. The Observer places its hand on his chest as blue energy surges between them. The avatar recoils, overwhelmed by the huge amount of data from his 13 lifetimes. He grabs its wrist, forces the connection, and says they do not have time to go slowly. He orders it to look into his memories and witness its own future. The Observer's visor flashes while it processes impossible timelines. A blinding light fills the room, signaling the end of this extreme power-up. A system window confirms success and grants him the unique skill called Forced Awakening. The Observer confirms its full potential is unlocked and prepares to expand its functions. Watching calmly, Gon-hyuk commands it to calculate every possible future by activating its second ability, Prediction, and the overwhelming flood of information makes the avatar's body convulse. Gon-hyuk orders the avatar to locate all hidden enemies and display them on a map, activating its third ability, Detection, which marks hostile targets as red dots on a grid. The Observer struggles under the heavy load and reports that it has reached its limit, explaining that 5 rare navy coins are needed to unlock its final ability. Pleased with the results, Gon-hyuk smirks, already planning his next move using the new information. He praises the upgraded avatar and dismisses it before leaving his room. Outside the raid site, angry hunters gather in the shadows, complaining that Gon-hyuk took all the rewards. The furious hunter from earlier grips his axe and demands to know why their leader allowed such a ridiculous person to walk away. He swears to kill Gon-hyuk and has to be held back by his companions. Another hunter nervously admits fear, remembering Gon-hyuk's overwhelming power against the Minotaur. A hooded man dismisses the concern, saying anyone can be killed with a surprise attack. His younger brother excitedly asks him to show a powerful ability called Avatar Predation. The hooded man reveals his goal to grow stronger before the next Tower of Babel event by targeting Yeonsi's avatar for its rare healing power and Gon-hyuk's avatar for its unique ability. Absorbing both powers, he believes will finally earn him B rank. His plotting ends abruptly when an unseen force strikes him, and Gon-hyuk appears instantly, grabbing the younger hunter and shocking everyone. A blood-stained blade gleams in the dark as Gon-hyuk holds it to the captive's throat, coldly commenting that the act brings him no pleasure. The allies cry out in horror as the younger hunter collapses, but the hooded man steps in, blocking the blade with a glowing hand. Smirking, he recognizes Ganyuk as the rumored thief and mocks his strength while overpowering the knife. In seconds, Ganyuk disables the other two hunters with precise blows. Activating his combat sense, he twists through the air and lands a crushing kick on his opponent, confidently declaring his dominance in human combat. From afar, the raid leader Park Jundae watches in shock, wondering how Ganyuk found them. The furious hunter steps forward, summoning his terrifying avatar, the shadow beast Ungoliant, which lunges forward with bared fangs. Ganyuk sneers at the sight, calling it a monster rather than a true avatar, as his enemy commands the creature to attack. Ganyuk's eyes stay cold and calm, showing no fear at all. He summons his own futuristic avatar, the Observer, to face the attack. The Observer's visor lights up and instantly activates its prediction ability, analyzing the enemy's movements in a flash. A targeting laser locks onto Ganyuk's head, but he only smirks because he already knows where the attack will go. He steps aside easily, unimpressed by his enemy's dependence on speed. With incredible agility, he moves through every strike, avoiding them before they even land. A mocking smile appears on his face as he dares his opponent to keep trying. The hunter's confidence breaks, his face twisting in frustration after failing again and again. Ganyuk spots an opening and delivers a sharp, powerful blow to the shadow beast. The creature staggers as the damage shows clearly on its unstable form. Ganyuk looks back with pure contempt, fully in control, and sends his enemy flying with a crushing counterattack. Before the opponent can recover, he rushes forward and ends the fight with a final slash. The hunter screams as the force overwhelms him. The raid leader watches the fallen man and wonders why Ganyuk is even here. The hooded figure turns and says their goals are the same, revealing he is also here to eliminate rivals. His eyes burn with anger as he calls Ganyuk a murderer and strikes again, but Ganyuk knocks him away with ease. The man lands hard, furious and swearing to end Ganyuk's mockery, but his anger turns to panic when he realizes something is missing. He searches his body while Ganyuk calmly watches. With a teasing smirk, Ganyuk reveals he has stolen a pistol from him. The hooded man curses, confused why anyone would carry a weapon useless against monsters. Then he laughs in disbelief as a bullet hits him and he orders his men to retreat. A system window confirms Ganyuk's master of all martial arts skill has activated, disabling the remaining hunters. A cruel grin spreads across his face as the gunshot echoes in the night, marking the end of the fast one-sided fight. The hooded man lies on the ground, unmoving. Ganyuk stands over him with a cold expression, pins him down with his foot, questions his motives and points the pistol at him, saying he knows the man is only pretending to be defeated. The hooded man looks up with rage, realizing he is fully trapped. Without hesitation, Ganyuk pulls the trigger and fires a final shot, calmly stating that his opponent should have finished the job earlier. The hooded figure is revealed to be the raid leader Park Jundae, whose bronzification skill activates in shock. He accuses Jundae of planning to kill him and Yancy and then blame a subordinate. The gun barrel presses hard against Jundae's temple, and his denial turns into fear. Ganyuk mocks him, asking if bronze skin protects the eyes too, as Jundae begs for his life. His voice grows serious when he reveals he knows Jundae is only a low-ranking member of the secret organization called Giants. Jundae is stunned, unable to understand how Ganyuk knows such hidden information. With cold intent, Ganyuk says he will send a warning to Jundae's masters, declaring that those who sell their souls for small rewards will meet a miserable end at the hands of the savior. Jundae is left speechless, and Ganyuk demands an answer. Another gunshot echoes as Jundae screams, the bullet striking his hand. He stumbles back in pain while Ganyuk stands over him, gun still raised. Calmly, Ganyuk lights a cigarette, even with blood on his face. Jundae writhes on the ground, crying in pain from the sudden attack. Ganyuk grabs his face roughly, silencing his desperate pleas. Jundae's eye fills with terror as he stares into Ganyuk's cold expression. Ganyuk presses the gun to his head and asks what message he should deliver to his powerful superiors. Jundae listens in horror as Ganyuk describes the cruel fate awaiting those who betray their souls. The scene shifts over the fallen hunters as Ganyuk gives a final warning that the savior has no patience for weak players and tells Jundae to remember this moment. With a cold command, he orders him to disappear. Jundae retreats into the darkness in fear. When it is over, Ganyuk calmly takes another drag from his cigarette. Unbothered by the blood on his hands, a system window appears confirming his victory and labeling the defeated hunters as a notorious gang. He smirks as a new achievement appears, granting him the title Death's Edge Duelist and confirming his growing reputation. The scene shifts to an orc dungeon where the remains of a fierce battle lie everywhere. An orc screams as it is struck by an invisible force, and Ganyuk, now wearing a sharp suit, finishes it with a bloody bat. The last surviving orc groans and looks up at him, then desperately begs for mercy, promising never to hurt humans again. He looks down at the bowing monster without emotion and says it will live only if it can answer one simple question. With a playful smirk, he asks a strange riddle about a firecracker that explodes in 1 second. The orc stares in total confusion, unable to understand. Before it can react, he moves in a blur, and a system window confirms his one-hit kill skill activates as he delivers the final blow. With a blood-stained grin, he gives the answer himself, while another system message announces the entire squad has been wiped out. Standing over the fallen enemies, he is flooded with reward notifications. Yancy watches with concern and questions his cruelty. but he coldly replies that such endings are unavoidable in this world. Using the 5 navy coins he obtained, he summons his avatar and performs the final upgrade. Activating Forced Awakening, he unlocks the legendary ability called Mind's Eye. A system window confirms the observer's ultimate power is now available, and its visor glows as it processes massive data. Satisfied, he says his preparations are complete. Yanxi tells him she has gathered the needed items and suggests returning to the academy, but he looks serious and says they are not going back yet, leaving her stunned. He points out their heavy luggage as a red magic circle appears under her feet. She gasps, realizing it is a teleportation spell, and his calm face shows he expected this. Across the city, other hunters are caught in the same light, marking the Tower of Babel's great summoning. An info panel explains this forced summoning happens when the Demon King's tower abducts awakened ones. A chosen hunter panics and tries to resist. A celestial being watches the 7th summoning, choosing only those with potential to defeat the Demon King. She prays for this final group, believing they are humanity's last hope. A confident red-haired warrior, the angel Azazel, vows to forge these humans into ultimate weapons, but the archangel feels uneasy, troubled by a strange sense of déjà vu. Back in the dungeon, Gonghyuk's eyes shine with sharp focus as the summoning spell activates, his face set with firm resolve because he is determined to save the world this time, no matter the cost. Elsewhere, Yanxi lies unconscious from the forced teleportation, her eyes closed until they slowly flutter open in an unfamiliar place. She wakes and sees Gonghyuk beside her, calling out to him in confusion as she takes in the strange grand surroundings. He calmly tells her they are now inside the Tower of Babel, surrounded by many other summoned hunters. In the crowd, a bald and intimidating hunter watches everyone with a cold, careful gaze, while another strong-looking hunter holding prayer beads quietly studies the others. The hall feels tense, filled with fear and hostility, as some hunters panic and others glare with arrogance. Gonghyuk observes the atmosphere, sensing the danger in the air. Yanxi wonders why there are so few people when the summoning was meant to be large, and as she looks around she confirms that the number is indeed small. He explains that the rest must be in other sections of the tower, which only confuses her more. He then describes how the tower thins out on higher floors. When she asks what they should do next, he confidently says instructions will come soon, adding with a knowing smirk that the explanation is about to begin. Suddenly a violent shockwave blasts through the hall, throwing hunters aside. A demon descends in purple energy and welcomes them, introducing himself as Krusti, servant of the Demon King. The hunters freeze in shock, realizing they are facing a real demon. Krusti mocks them and offers to explain the rules. He raises one finger as holographic screens appear, showing they will be ranked by performance using a point system based on killing monsters. He declares that after 3 weeks, only the top 50 out of 200 will live, and he will kill the rest himself. One angry hunter challenges him, saying the demon is outnumbered. Krusti smirks, dark power forming in his hand, and instantly strikes the hunter down. The room falls silent in terror. Gonghyuk stays calm, recognizing the demon as Krusti, a powerful commander. The demon casually lifts a blue coin, showing he has already claimed a reward, his eyes glowing as he is identified as the feared Lightning Heaven's Krusti. The dead hunter's body jerks on the floor, serving as a cruel example of how deadly the tower truly is. As the body drops, Gonghyuk notices a similar blue coin in his own hand and understands its importance. While the others are still shaken, the demon announces a second, even more terrifying rule with a twisted smile. A system message explains that when someone dies, they drop 20% of their coins, causing the hunters to immediately rush forward in greed. One hunter grabs a valuable coin, but another quickly stomps on his hand to stop him. The bald hunter pulls a dagger, threatening his rival and demanding the coins. Krusti watches their conflict with amusement before lifting his hand to announce the third rule. He explains that for the first 2 weeks, killing is forbidden in the safe zone, forcing the bald hunter to back off reluctantly. The bald man glares at the weaker hunters, clearly promising violence once the time limit ends. The demon's message is clear: grow stronger within 2 weeks or become prey. Krusti laughs at the sight, enjoying human greed and betrayal. Then he offers a special service, purple energy crackling in his hand. Yanxi shouts a warning as the demon reveals a hidden rule targeting the hunter with the most coins. She tries to stop it, but the demon snaps his fingers and releases a powerful spell. Purple lightning crashes down toward Gonghyuk, causing a massive explosion. Yanxi rushes to him in fear, but he calmly says he is unharmed. She looks confused, wondering how he survived such a direct attack. An armored angel descends from above, announcing the fourth rule: celestial and demonic beings cannot harm humans. A flash of steel shows the angel block the demon's attack. The angel Azazel lands, scolding the demon and demanding he follow the rules properly. The demon Krusti recognizes her and clicks his tongue, annoyed that she ruined his fun. He then reveals the final rule: humans are free to choose sides, serving either angels or demons. Azazel warns the hunters to fight with everything they have if they want to live, while Krusti adds that stronger humans make their patrons stronger. With a powerful wave of energy, Azazel scatters the hunters to test them, standing in divine light as a symbol of power. A desperate hunter begs her to revive his fallen friend, but she coldly refuses, saying it is impossible. The frightened hunters crowd around the angel, urgently asking how they can survive inside the tower. But while Azazel tries to calm them, Gonghyuk has already turned away from the chaos. He tells Yanxi to follow him, leaving her confused by his sudden choice. She questions why he would ignore the angel's guidance, but he calmly replies that the angel only gives quests, and he already knows everything she would say. The scene moves to the first floor's hunting area, showing a well-guarded goblin base. 2 goblin guards notice their presence, raise an alarm, and scramble to arm themselves. Before they can react, one goblin is cut down instantly. Ganyuk stands over the body with a bloodied bat resting on his shoulder, smirking as he tells the goblins they exist only to help him gain points faster. The goblins snarl and charge, but he mocks their clumsy attack and easily crushes the first one to reach him. A desperate goblin swings wildly, hoping to get lucky, yet he blocks every strike with smooth, effortless movements. His playful look fades into cold focus as he scans for danger, stepping aside just in time as a projectile shatters the ground. He spots a goblin archer on a cliff and narrows his eyes, annoyed. The archer stares in shock, unable to believe a human dodged the attack. Yancy jumps into action, smashing the archer with her weapon and proudly holding up a frying pan from the cliff. He grins in approval and returns to the remaining goblins, swinging with precision as his bat becomes a blur. One powerful strike sends a goblin flying before his weapon finally bends and breaks. He tosses the ruined bat away and surveys the defeated enemies with indifference. Yancy stares in awe at his strength, but he brushes it off and urges her to quickly collect the loot. She questions his urgency as he looks at a glowing system window, his expression turning serious. He explains that the first floor has 7 dungeons and 3 main objectives, then focuses on the sewer dungeon in a hidden room called Pezaron's Cradle. With determination, he insists they must reach it before anyone else. Her confusion shifts to suspicion, and she raises a crossbow at his back, demanding to know who he truly is, and accusing him of changing the person she once knew. He does not flinch at the weapon, his eyes calm and steady. She admits her doubts began after the Minotaur dungeon, remembering how he used to be kind, gentle, and even timid, which feels nothing like the ruthless man before her now. Images of his recent cold behavior replay in her mind, convincing her that his cruel attitude and impossible foresight mean he must be an imposter. He calmly meets her stare and waits for her to ask who he truly is. With his hands raised, he assures her he is still the same person, and asks if she remembers moments from their childhood at the orphanage. A memory appears of him always acting up just to stand close to her in group photos, and another where his closeness made another boy jealous. Even so, she insists his personality has changed too much. He then explains that in the Minotaur dungeon he saw a vision of the future 20 years ahead, caused by his avatar, the Observer, which showed him their tragic fate after being summoned to the Tower of Babel. He says this painful vision is why he changed so suddenly. Yancy calls out the lie, saying the Observer cannot see the future. He admits the first vision was actually her death in the Minotaur dungeon, and that the Avatar showed him this future so he would gain the resolve to protect her at any cost. He reminds her of his promise to always keep her safe. His sincerity makes her blush and drop her guard. Overcome, she hugs him tightly and apologizes for doubting him. He comforts her while silently admitting this is only another false story to hide the truth. 2 days later, the scene moves to the dark sewer dungeon, where 2 cloaked rat men attack with daggers but are killed instantly. Yancy grimaces at the filthy surroundings and asks how much farther they must go. Ganhyuk crushes another rat man and calmly says they are close. To locate the target, he summons the Observer and activates its ultimate skill, Mind's Eye. A beam reveals a hidden passage in the wall. Inside, he finds a large statue, confirms his guess, and immediately presses a hidden switch at its base. A system window asks him to spend 3 navy coins to unlock the cradle, and he agrees instantly as the statue's sword begins to glow. A message confirms the first floor is unlocked, and a huge stone gate slowly opens. Inside is a strange chamber with a single shining pedestal in the center. Yancy admits that after everything she has seen, nothing he does surprises her anymore. He walks toward a glowing stone tablet with a confident smirk, knowing he has found what he was searching for, and warns her that what happens next might finally shock her. A system window confirms his access as he touches the tablet, releasing a bright light. A new message announces that a shop has been unlocked. Holographic cards swirl around them, showing legendary avatars like Thor, Skill Coin Book, and 7 heroes of Pezaron continent for sale, revealing a secret market for the truly powerful. The shop displays SS rank items, including rare skill books and powerful weapons with extremely high prices. Yonsei is amazed, but Ganyuk calmly explains that this place is Pezaron's Cradle, where the wealthy can buy the power to become heroes. His attention moves to a coin exchange machine, which is central to his plan. Without hesitation, he converts 1,500 purple coins into 6 valuable navy coins, and Yonsei watches in disbelief at how rich he truly is. The system then recommends a new compatible avatar for her that costs 5 coins. She wonders if this means she can use 2 avatars, but he immediately says no and explains that each hunter only has 1 slot unless it is expanded. When she asks how to get more slots, he suddenly tells her not to buy the suggested avatar. Confused, she listens as he calls it worthless, and says her current avatar is much better. Instead, he finds a rare evolution stone, the item he truly wanted. He summons the Observer and spends his coins without hesitation to begin its evolution. A system window announces that the Observer is entering a new stage. Its body starts to change, rising into a pillar of light. He recognizes one possible form, the Farseer, which he remembers well, while other powerful forms appear, each linked to the 12 divine seats. He ignores them all, and selects the final option he knows best, the Game Master. The system confirms the Game Master route and begins the final evolution. A window explains that this path grants the ultimate ability called Authority Expansion. The avatar's eye glows red as its new form appears, dressed in a sleek suit and surrounded by purple energy, revealing the full presence of Avatar GM, the one who controls the game itself. The scene moves to the deepest part of the sewer dungeon, where a powerful figure sits on a throne. The final boss is revealed as King Rattus, the ruler of the sewers. He senses their arrival, and a ghostly image of his past self appears beside him. The king calmly admits that a challenger has finally reached his chamber, while the spectral companion growls, eager for battle. The massive doors burst open, revealing Gonhyuk and Yeonsi standing ready. King Rattus laughs at the idea of facing only two opponents, clearly underestimating them, but his arrogance breaks when a sudden strike hits him directly in the face. Gonhyuk smirks and challenges the furious boss to fight seriously. The sewer king growls and blocks the next attack with his huge blade, yet Gonhyuk easily deflects the heavy counterstrike, sparks flying from the clash. The spectral companion gathers dark energy to launch magic, forcing Gonhyuk to brace himself. King Rattus towers over him and raises his weapon for a crushing blow, then unleashes a special attack, an unblockable flail meant to destroy its target. Gonhyuk focuses sharply, narrowly dodging the whip-like strike as his reflexes reach their limit. The attack crashes against his weapon, sending sparks everywhere and stunning the boss. The spectral figure smirks in respect but quickly changes tactics, throwing a smoke grenade that fills the area with thick poisonous gas. Yeonju shouts a warning as her vision disappears in the cloud. Gonhyuk recognizes the familiar tactic, but a shadowy tendril lashes out from the smoke and strikes his shoulder, drawing blood. The spectral boss watches from within the fog, pleased as a system window confirms the poison is weakening him and slowing his body. Irritated by the cheap trick, he calls out to his partner. Yeonju quickly understands and summons her avatar, the Shrine Goddess, which appears in divine light. She casts a healing spell, forming a glowing flower on his shoulder that instantly removes the poison. Recovered, he grabs a new weapon and challenges the sewer king again. Yeonju raises her crossbow and fires a precise shot, successfully distracting the spectral boss. Using that opening, Gonhyuk delivers a powerful strike to the real King Rattus. The spectral creature lunges in rage, eye blazing, but Gonhyuk ignores it and lands a final crushing blow on the true boss. A system message confirms that his one-hit kill skill has activated, officially ending the boss fight. Yeonju is stunned by their victory, while the ghostly boss watches with a mix of interest and criticism, saying that although they are skilled, they are still not strong enough to clear the tower. Gonhyuk summons his avatar and activates Mind's Eye, which immediately detects the hidden presence. The Game Master avatar locks onto the ghost and identifies it as the true sewer king Shimandi. Calmly, Gonhyuk turns to face the spirit directly. Shimandi stares in shock, unable to believe a human can see him. The spectral king then begins to tell his story, explaining that 400 years ago, monsters invaded his world of Pezaron. He and 6 other heroes fought back and entered the Tower of Babel, but they failed, and all of his comrades were destroyed. In the end, his entire world was absorbed by the tower. Yeonsi listens in horror, struggling to understand how an entire world could be erased. Shimandi points to the defeated boss and reveals that it was only an artificial copy of his former self. He explains that his people were turned into monster templates, their broken world reshaped into dungeons. He warns that the tower has continued this conquest for centuries, devouring countless worlds. Yeonsi realizes that if they fail, Earth will face the same fate, and Shimandi confirms her fear. Gonhyuk cuts the conversation short, saying they have heard enough. A system window rewards him for uncovering the truth, granting him a new title and a rare white coin. Yeonsi wonders what the coin does, but the Game Master avatar appears and explains it can unlock an extra avatar slot. The avatar uses it immediately, activating permission expansion and increasing his capacity. With that done, Gonhyuk declares their task in the sewer finished. As they leave, Shimandi says they are the first in 4 centuries to ever see him and offers his power to help them conquer the tower. A system prompt offers an A+ rank avatar, shocking Yeonsi, who calls it incredible luck. However, Gonhyuk coldly rejects the offer, saying an A+ rank avatar is too weak for him. His refusal leaves Yeonsi confused, and Shimandi deeply hurt. As they walk away, the offended spectral king roars in fury at the insulting human. Days later, the angel Azazel holds a public gathering in the village on the first floor. A cloaked figure walks quietly through the crowd of hunters, then lowers her hood to reveal Yeonsi, her eyes filled with firm determination. She steps forward with confidence, ready to officially join the tower's ranking competition. Azazel asks for her name to register her, but she requests to be listed as anonymous, which the angel finds strange yet accepts with a faint smile. The registration completes instantly, and the rankings update showing an anonymous hunter has jumped straight to 2nd place. Shocked by her sudden position, she receives a ranker's blessing that boosts her abilities. The surrounding hunters whisper in confusion, curious about who this nameless ranker might be. One suspicious hunter approaches her, pointing out he has never seen her before, and others join him, demanding she remove her hood and reveal her identity. Overwhelmed by the attention, she realizes her attempt to stay unnoticed has failed. From above, it is clear she has become the center of attention, surrounded by a crowd. Elsewhere, Gonhyuk calmly prepares for his own entry into the competition. He summons his newly evolved avatar, the powerful Game Master, and orders it to connect to the system and register his score. The avatar activates its permission expansion, gaining deep access to the tower's network. Back in the village, a system alert suddenly appears, warning all hunters of an abnormal update. The crowd watches in confusion as the leaderboard changes, with one score climbing at an impossible speed. Numbers blur as the points rise into the thousands. The final ranking appears, showing an anonymous Hunter X in first place with 13,210 points, a score greater than the next 9 rankers combined. The crowd is left stunned, demanding to know who this mysterious Hunter X is. Even Azazel and her companion question whether the system has malfunctioned, but Azazel realizes the issue is not the score, but that someone has interfered with the registration system itself. She narrows her eyes, sensing an unknown power behind the event. From the shadows, Gonyuk watches with a satisfied smirk. Using the chaos, Yancy slips away unnoticed, but soon finds a badly injured hunter lying nearby. She rushes to help him, ignoring his request to leave him behind, and begins to summon her avatar to heal his wounds. A telepathic warning from Gonyuk stops her, telling her not to show her power in public. At that moment, a bald and threatening hunter steps in and tells her to stay out of it. He grabs her shoulder roughly and orders her to leave the injured man alone. Thinking quickly, she pretends to feel relieved and thanks the thug, saying she is glad he will handle the situation because she is in a hurry. She politely asks him to take care of the wounded hunter, then steps back. The bald hunter agrees with a dark smile, promising to take care of him, but then proves his cruelty by striking the helpless man hard. The injured hunter is thrown to the ground while Yancy quickly retreats. People nearby recognize the attacker as Igor, a thug hunter who has been falling in the rankings. A voice warns her again that getting involved with him is dangerous. Igor continues his abuse, telling her to leave because the victim is already finished. With a twisted grin, he says he will take the fallen hunter's coins. Her expression turns cold, her patience finally gone. Suddenly, a system message announces the activation of psychokinesis, and Igor is slammed violently into the ground. An unseen force pins him to the stones, leaving him shocked and helpless. She ignores him and kneels beside the injured man, offering him a glowing healing item. The magical rice ball shines softly, promising recovery. Igor struggles but cannot move. She looks down at him and reveals that this power is a D-rank skill she recently gained, then calmly questions his pride and cruel behavior. Humiliated and furious, the thug can only glare as she walks away. He screams threats of revenge from the ground. The hunter she saved holds the glowing food with gratitude, his faith in people renewed. The scene shifts to the edge of the first-floor hunting zone, where a quiet forest surrounds a small log cabin marked as Igor's hideout. Inside, an enraged Igor storms in and tells his partner to prepare for a hunt, swearing to track down the mysterious woman who embarrassed him. His companion hesitates and asks if he has heard rumors about a powerful psychokinetic user from the east. Furious, Igor grabs him and demands obedience, but then freezes when he realizes his partner Jacob has already been taken down. Fear creeps in as he understands the hideout has been breached and that he is now the real target. Elsewhere, Ganhyuk calmly watches the thugs panic on a holographic screen, smirking as he reveals he has been controlling everything from the shadows. Meanwhile, Igor continues by saying that his ally was attacked by a hammer. He adds that the body was dismembered with a sword. There are even traces of spear piercing. To Igor, it did not look like one person did it. He then declares that when he catches those dogs, he will take revenge and make them cry tears of blood. Soon after, he hears noise outside. Several hunters are speaking to a girl named Ren. They tell her she has probably lost her way. One of the hunters tells Ren it doesn't matter because they only have to hunt monsters and collect coins. They wonder if this is the same ranker's hideout. One of the hunter remarks that he thinks the ranker's name was Igor. He adds that they must be careful because criticizing him could get them harmed. Suddenly, someone grabs Ren from behind and pulls her away. It turns out to be Igor. He looks over at them in disgust, prompting all the hunters to ready their weapons. Igor notices one hunter carrying a sword, one carrying a spear. He realizes that they are the ones who attacked his hideout and brutally murdered his ally. Without wasting any more time, Igor goes on to slit Ren's throat. He declares that by attacking his hideout, they invited their own death. The poor girl dies instantly, leading one man to questioning if she is still alive. Another says that Igor has gone completely mad. Then one of the hunter attacks Igor. He declares that he will kill him and avenge Manga. However, Igor fights back. Ganhyuk watches through the system window. He hears Igor tell them not to forget their place. Ganhyuk thinks that if Igor had acquired Ripper Avatar, he would have been a major threat. He also thinks that Igor is still a fool. He believes that killing him would have been easy in this regression because Igor is not there yet. Ganhyuk then reflects that it has been 4 days since Babel started. The hunter's strength has not increased much. As Igor fights multiple men, Ganhyuk observes that the guy reached rank 6 but still cannot handle 4 men. Ganhyuk wonders how hunters will react if they learn a ranker was killed. The scene then cuts to a few days later at Thoth's Great Temple. Ganhyuk asks Yancy if she remembers him mentioning the terrible ranker. She replies that she remembers but says that he died. She thinks he was killed by lower-tier hunters. Ganhyuk agrees. Yancy follows this by saying that everyone should live a righteous life. Ganhyuk then turns and asks if she is saying that to him. She nervously agrees. Ganhyuk adds that this is why lower-tier hunters remain abnormal. He then suggests that they should not wait to drop out of rank and that they should join forces to hunt rankers. She asks if he knew this was coming and questions whether that is why he told her not to use her name in rankings. Ganhyuk confirms in response. Shortly after, when they reach the temple boss room, He tells Yancy that he will not be able to protect her during the boss fight, and asks if she can handle it. She reassures him that she can protect herself. Ganhyuk takes out the poison-coated ceremonial temple spear and suggests that they head inside. There, they confront the temple guardian. The guardian calls them intruders, asking how dare they enter this temple. However, before the guardian can utter another word, Ganhyuk activates throwing skill. He throws the spear, it pierces the guardian's chest, and the system reports that the guardian was attacked from a low-grade alchemy poison. The guardian belittles him as a mere worm. It is explained that this guardian is the strongest boss on the first floor. As the guardian proceeds to pull out the spear, Ganhyuk thinks he must fight with all his might. He then attacks with poison caltrops and declares that the guardian will die by his hands. He even throws a toxic tear gas bomb to fill the area. The guardian complains that Ganhyuk is just showing off a stupid trick. A system notification reports the debuff list. These include low-grade alchemy poison, poison caltrops, and tear gas poison. Ganhyuk then uses Ratus's iron flail. Moreover, the system reports that he injured the guardian with Ratus's poison. As the guardian yells, Ganhyuk remarks that he learned this skill from a rat and thinks of it as somewhat useful. He mocks the guardian, asking how it liked the all-out strike. He asks whether its butt got busted. Ganhyuk further taunts that it was already staggering. This enrages the guardian as it curses and tells him to shut up. But Ganhyuk narrowly dodges the strike. He then tells the guardian that it is time to take a walk, referring to it as doggy. He then begins retreating. The guardian shouts for him to wait and asks where he is running. Ganhyuk thinks he will keep running so the poison can continue damaging the guardian. Then he hears a shocking voice. He realizes that Yancy is surrounded by monsters, so he turns back to fight the guardian and attacks it. The guardian blocks and mocks him for leaving his partner behind. Ganhyuk replies that everything is fine because he already told her. He says that now he just has to focus on killing the guardian. Meanwhile, monsters rush toward Yancy while she tries to dodge them all. A wolf monster is about to attack Yancy, but she shoots it with an arrow. It ends up dying while screaming. She continues pounding all the monsters as they scream while a deadly dance unfolds. Soon, 2 monsters appear behind Yancy. She notices them, quickly activates her skill and destroys them instantly. After that, she thinks about what Ganhyuk told her. He said that he does not have the strength to protect her during the battle. He even asked whether she could handle it. She resolves that she just needs to draw the guardian's attention to herself so Big Brother can go one-on-one with the boss. Meanwhile, Ganhyuk continues fighting the guardian monster. Yancy runs while drawing monsters toward herself. She thinks that no matter how many chase her, as long as her escape route is open, she can buy time for Big Brother. She considers that she only needs to keep the guards focused on her. She must avoid them so Big Brother can clear it quickly. However, when Ganhyuk begins preparing a strong attack, the guardian becomes enraged. It commands all the monsters by raising its staff, prompting the monsters to surround Yancy from all directions. Yancy screams as the monsters charge to eat her. This draws Ganhyuk's attention, but he ignores it once again and continues to fight the guardian. He then receives a system notification asking whether he wants to interfere. It makes him smile. Meanwhile, Yancy closes her eyes, realizing that this is the end of her path. However, when she opens her eyes, she sees a muscular guy fighting off the monsters that were about to eat her. This muscular guy is none other than the man she healed earlier. A massive explosion then follows as Yancy sighs in relief. She then seems to recognize the man in the shadow. But before she can say anything, the man introduces himself as Soma Sangai. Moreover, Soma also thanks her for healing him that day, and says that he would not be alive otherwise. This is when Yancy realizes he is the same person she saved in the village. Then another monster approaches, causing Yancy to panic. She says it is a dangerous monster even bigger than the others, but Soma tells her not to worry, and says he will handle it. He then summons his avatar, Neo Guardian. Then he activates his skill, Vajra Indestructibility. The monster ends up biting Soma's arm, prompting Yancy to ask if he is okay. He replies that such hideous beasts cannot harm him. Then he summons his avatar, Spartacus. He goes on to activate the revolution skill. Thereafter, a massive explosion occurs due to which all the monsters are sent screaming. After eliminating them, Soma tells them to rest in peace. Then another monster appears from behind, but Yancy kills it with an arrow. She tells Soma that she will support him during this fight, for which he thanks her and tells Yancy that she is really kind. Ganhyuk notices them and is thankful for Soma to come for their aid. This makes Ganhyuk think he no longer needs to worry about them. Then Ganhyuk turns his attention back to the Guardian. The Guardian has now realized that Ganhyuk is actually reading its attacks ahead of time. Ganhyuk confirms this and says that he has gotten really good at it. The Guardian then grows a bit worried, realizing that his attacks are not reaching Ganhyuk. It thinks that the poison is damaging its body as well. The Guardian realizes that if this continues, he will lose. However, it attacks again, declaring that playtime is over. With glowing eyes, the Guardian tells Ganhyuk that it's hunting time. In response, Ganhyuk pulls out the giant tiger scimitar from his system. While preparing to attack, he tells the Guardian that the prey is actually him, and that he can't do anything to him. The Guardian speaks saying that he does not know how Ganhyuk is doing this. He says that Ganhyuk is understanding the attack pattern very quickly. It appears that the Guardian is not a very huge fan of Ganhyuk's reaction speed or his explosiveness. Ganhyuk thinks that he has to be a little more careful now. Then, the Guardian attacks and passes by Ganhyuk, inflicting some sort of damage on him. Suddenly, Ganhyuk lets go of a scream as he stares at his wound. In no time, blood comes pouring out, leading the Guardian to believe that his attack was with such great speed that Gonhyuk could not understand the pattern. He continues attacking at extreme speed and Gonhyuk is struck repeatedly as he continues to scream in pain. Meanwhile, Soma grows anxious. He even shouts to Yeonsi, asking if they can support in the boss fight. However, Yeonsi responds that Big Brother asked her to handle the monsters first. She says they should interfere afterward. She explains that as long as the Guardian lives, the monsters will never die. She adds that if they join the fight, they will have to face both the Guardian and the monsters. At the same time, the Guardian smiles and declares that all of these dogs will die there today. Yeonsi tells Soma that they must keep fighting the monsters until Big Brother defeats the Guardian, so they continue battling. Monsters scream around them. Seeing that the battle is going nowhere, Yeonsi wonders what she should do in this situation, but resorts to putting her trust in Gonhyuk. She believes he will handle it like he said he would. Meanwhile, Gonhyuk keeps getting attacked. He keeps screaming as the Guardian strikes again and again, remarking that it feels so good. The Guardian further tells Gonhyuk that this is the end for him. However, Gonhyuk blocks the next attack with his shield. He reveals how he had already anticipated that the Guardian will deliver the final blow from the front. He then readies his weapon, Iron Rapier, and says that even if he cannot match the Guardian's speed, the Guardian cannot escape his next attack's speed either. Then Gonhyuk attacks. He thrusts his sword into the Guardian's mouth, wanting to skewer it like a dog. In response, the Guardian lets go of a huge scream as tears start pouring from its eyes. After that, Gonhyuk launches another attack with his second weapon, telling the Guardian that it will make a good nourishment. He then activates One Strike Sever and slices the Guardian in two. Thereafter, a system notification appears, announcing that the dungeon boss, Temple Guardian, is dead. Soma repeats Yeonsi's words, commenting that Gonhyuk's skill and trust are simply incredible. Soma can see that Gonhyuk has truly destroyed the monster single-handedly. Yeonsi then proceeds to heal Gonhyuk. She then tries to introduce Soma to him but soon realizes that he already knows Soma. She remarks that it seems Gonhyuk already knows everything. Then she asks Soma why, if he is so strong, he was getting beaten up by Igor. Soma answers that it is a long story, and adds that Igor betrayed him in the hunting ground. Yeonsi calls Soma a gentleman for calling Igor's name respectfully, to which Soma says that there is no benefit in bad-mouthing the dead. Then Gonhyuk thinks how Yeonsi possesses nullification and that she also has the best healing skill. He then thinks how Soma has superhuman mental fortitude, great patience, and a very outstanding charisma. He concludes that Soma is the strongest tank of humanity. Gonhyuk further recalls that in the past, Soma actually defeated him when he went berserk. Then he thanks Soma for protecting Yeonsi. All of a sudden, Gonhyuk extends his hand and asks if Soma would like to join their team. Soma takes his hand and says that the invitation is an honor for him and agrees, mentioning that he will definitely join. Gonhyuk withdraws his hand, telling Soma not to get too emotional. Gonhyuk then turns around and says that it's time for them to collect their rewards. Hearing this, Soma is confused because they just received their rewards. Then Gonhyuk activates Mind's Eye. The system announces that the Oath in Time god Rajefti has been captured. Soma and Yeonsi are shocked when they see the god. After that, Gonhyuk thinks that this is why he challenges the highest difficulty dungeon. Rajefti is now present in front of them, asking Gonhyuk if he came looking for him, and questions Gonhyuk who exactly he is. Gonhyuk tells Rajefti that he wants to kill the Demon King. He further tells him that he needs to use his power and demands it without hesitation. However, Rajefti refuses. He states that he will not give his power because Gonhyuk killed his guardian. He adds that he has no intention of granting it. In response, Gonhyuk smiles and remarks that despite being imprisoned in Babel, Rajefti is acting like a rogue. Hearing this, Rajefti calls him impudent. Soma listens as Rajefti recalls that the Babel incident years ago was beyond his control. He says that if they had seen it, they would have been devastated. But Gonhyuk dismisses this as empty claims and calls it a loser's excuse. Moreover, Gonhyuk says that he knows better. Rajefti accuses him of coming only for his power and tells Gonhyuk to go away and that he should let him rest. However, Gonhyuk challenges him. He asks what his remaining people inside Babel would say if they saw him now. Rajefti responds that he will not believe Gonhyuk's words. He claims that all his people are dead. It is then that Gonhyuk reveals that's not the case. He explains that their connection was only broken and tells Rajefti that he does not know the whole truth. Gonhyuk tells Rajefti that this premonition only happened because of the loss of Rajefti's divinity. Moreover, Gonhyuk reveals they are all still alive inside Babel, suffering. But Rajefti still doesn't believe him completely and questions if he is telling the truth. Then Gonhyuk summons his Game Master avatar and commands it to show the location of the 48th floor of Babel. The Game Master activates the skill. It expands the scene and a scene is revealed where the Demon Lord is seen wreaking havoc. Rajefti denies, saying that it cannot be real. Moreover, Rajefti has no idea who this Demon Lord might be, asking what type of monster this is and as to why it is attacking his people. Gonhyuk tells him to watch quietly, telling him that he will understand it soon. The Demon Lord is struck by the holy light. However, the Demon Lord laughs it off as it doesn't affect him at all. A beast lady orders everyone to keep attacking it with holy light, but the Demon Lord threatens that all the little beasts will die by his hands. The beast lady declares that their city is in danger. She states that this is the land of the Thoths, and reminds everyone that they serve Lord Rajefti. She declares that they will never accept the demon monster as their lord. In response, the Demon Lord simply mocks them. He calls them selfish, and declares that he will take their land by force. As they attack the Demon Lord, he cannot help but laugh at their puny attempts to try and kill him. Everyone yells as the Beast Lady encourages them not to fear. She tells them to keep fighting in the name of Regefti. However, the Demon Lord crushes her like an ant. With a huge grin on his face, the Demon Lord declares that Regefti was nothing but an evil god. Then he is struck again by the holy light from behind. The attackers shout that the Demon Lord has been hit, and that they must not give him a single chance to get back up. So they increase their firepower and begin to continuously bombard him with the holy light. The Demon Lord screams and vows to kill all the little beasts, even promising to leave none alive. Even Regefti grows nervous. Ganhyuk, smoking, remarks that this is the tragic fate of those who lost their lord. He says that even today the people have not forgotten Regefti's name. Ganhyuk further explains that they have been calling for him for thousands of years while he sits quietly. This enraged Regefti. He grabs Ganhyuk by the collar, telling him to shut up. He threatens to take his head off if he continues with his comments. Then he questions how Ganhyuk knows about the 48th floor when he is only on the first floor and demands an answer. When Regefti asks if Ganhyuk fabricated the footage, Ganhyuk replies that no one could fake something so blatant. He says that as their lord, Regefti should be able to tell at a glance that it is real. Regefti is now stunned. Ganhyuk throws away his cigarette and tells Regefti that if he wants to enjoy life there, then he will not try to convince him anymore. Ganhyuk urges that his people are waiting for him. Then he extends his hand, telling Regefti that if he does not want to see his creation continue to suffer, he should come with him. He even promises to kill the Demon Lord, and to free the people from Babel. Regefti comments that Ganhyuk is irritating, but still he shakes his hand. It appears that Regefti finally understands the situation, which is why he has agreed to go with him. A system notification then appears, announcing that the avatar Regefti has been acquired. Soma stares at Ganhyuk, wondering who he really is. Ganhyuk looks back at him with a grim expression. Our scene cuts to the Hellgate Labyrinth floor, B5, where many people are fighting a monster. One guy notices something wrong just as the monster attacks. Everyone shouts in alarm. Then Ganhyuk activates his skill, one sword bisection from behind. He splits the monster into two as it dies instantly. He then asks if everyone is alright, prompting one of them to cautiously ask who he is. Ganhyuk replies that he is just a passing hunter. The man remarks that this means he is not on the ranking list, but Ganhyuk casually admits that he is one of them. A lady hunter then arrives from behind and immediately hits the man. She scolds him for being rude to the one who saved their lives. She then thanks Ganhyuk, saying that they thought they would die today. She then reveals that she and her allies are from the assault team to defeat the dungeon's boss. Moreover, she explains that all of them are among the top 50 rankers, though they might not look like it. Ganhyuk then asks her about the ranker hunters, to which the girl explains that it's exactly how the name suggests, the hunters who hunt the top 50 rankers. She adds that this is becoming a trend recently. She says the Demon Lord announced that outside hunters will die when the deadline expires. She further explains that those who want to survive are killing outside hunters in the village to raise their rankings. Hearing this, Ganhyuk thinks that since he killed another one, Igor, the news starting spreading and thinks everything is going according to plan. The lady then asks where his team is, and questioning whether he came alone. Ganhyuk responds and mentions that he has a team, but explains that he did not bring them because he keeps worrying that something might happen to them. She extends her hand asking him to join their team. Ganhyuk shakes it while the girl explains that he needed a team too because it is not possible to defeat the boss solo. The girl then clings to him and says that they will be working together. The others watch and smile as if they have some sinister plan in their minds. Then the scene cuts to the Hellgate Labyrinth. The dungeon boss, two-headed hellhound, howls angrily. It attacks, but Ganhyuk dodges and activates instant kill. A huge explosion soon erupts. Ganhyuk flies closer to the hellhound, joking that he is very good with dogs and that he has dealt with a dog that's a lot bigger than this hellhound. Then he throws his spear with another skill, projectile throw. Meanwhile, the monster cries for help. Simultaneously, Ganhyuk pulls out his second weapon. He declares that killing idiots like this is his specialty. The system reports that Ganhyuk has equipped the weapon Flame Giant's Halberd. Ganhyuk keeps pounding the monster while the onlookers see in shock, wondering just who this guy is. While everyone is wondering, someone appears from behind and reveals that the guy fighting the Hellhound is known as Hunter X. He further explains that Ganhyuk already surpassed 10,000 points. Now it finally makes sense to them why he has kept his identity a secret. Moreover, they are impressed by the fact that this Hunter X is so powerful that he is clearing dungeons all by himself. Then one man asks the lady hunter what they should do, since the monster is difficult for them too. She watches Ganhyuk quietly, thinking. She then tells everyone that no matter if he has 10,000 or 100,000 points, Hunter X would still be vulnerable to ambushes. Moreover, she says that if this guy is really X, then he must have many coins. She believes that killing him would make them rich. Hearing this, another man reacts in disbelief. Ganhyuk then shouts at them to stop messing around, telling them to focus on the fight. The lady then asks Ganhyuk about the party mechanism, to which Ganhyuk says that it is just about to be activated. Not long after, the party mechanism is activated and a huge fire starts causing damage to all of Ganhyuk's enemies, including the members of his recently formed team. They beg to be saved as they realize that this is the party mechanism. Ganhyuk explains that this is why he did not bring his team. Then one man angrily accuses Ganhyuk of planning to use them as shields all along. In response, Ganhyuk tells him it is his own fault for being an idiot and not activating fire resistance. A title then appears above Ganyuk reading "The One Who Swallows Hellfire." The system shows Ganyuk's fire resistance at 582%. Ganyuk thinks that this is why he didn't want his team to see. Then Ganyuk heads on a killing spree. He slits the man's throat. The lady screams, asking what he is doing. Ganyuk replies that they were all planning to do the same to him and asks if they have forgotten. Then he starts beating them one by one as they run. They scream, fearing that this madman will kill them all. He declares while attacking that they all betrayed him 44 years ago, which is why he is tearing them apart right now. The lady shouts at him to stop, saying that she wasn't even born 44 years ago. Ganyuk knows that she will not remember it. Hearing this, she is shocked, but then she quickly asks for Ganyuk to watch out as something is coming at him. When the monster is about to reach Ganyuk, he suddenly moves away at very high speed. This causes the lady hunter to become its prey. Ganyuk stands tall in front of the monster. The two-headed beast cries loudly as Ganyuk attacks it. Then Ganyuk activates his 1/execution skill and strikes the beast with it. The strike is so brutal and effective that Ganyuk manages to easily kill off the monster. After that, a system notification announces that he has defeated the dungeon boss Two-Headed Hellhound. Because of this, Ganyuk acquires the title of Massacrer of the Hellgate. He has dealt 100% damage. His achievement of Perfect Slayer increases from 0 to 1 out of 10. Ganyuk also receives 800 purple coins and 2 navy coins. Meanwhile, the lady hunter, with only a little life left, is still gasping for breath. However, Ganyuk has turned cold-hearted towards her, since she wronged him earlier, so he comments that this serves her right. Then he calls the Avatar Game Master. He gives her the coin and tells her to unlock the skill Predation. She obeys his command and confirms that the new skill has been acquired. Ganyuk then looks at the monster and thinks that its body can be used, so he instructs the Game Master to swallow it whole. Then someone behind him congratulates him. He turns to see a demon laughing. She introduces herself as Lord Krusty's slave, Liliane. Ganyuk thinks frustratingly that she had to come now. He thinks that if he had devoured the avatar in front of her, then she would probably try to erase him. He then looks over at the Game Master and thinks that this is a real pain. Ganyuk then asks Liliane what she wants. In response, Liliane gets closer to him, saying that Ganyuk is very good-looking and skilled. Moreover, she even tells him that his vibe matches her type. However, Ganyuk asks her to spit out whatever she wants. This makes her visibly furious, as she immediately changes her expression. Then she reveals that she only came to give him the hidden reward. Then the system displays Demon Quest. It shows that the requirement of killing 5 on the first floor has been completed. Because of this, Ganyuk receives 3 navy coins and Laplace's poison. This surprises Ganyuk as he proceeds to thank her. She explains that now he must kill 10 people on the first floor of Babel as his next target. Ganyuk tells her to get lost quickly because she has already delivered the reward. Liliane is confused, prompting Ganyuk to tell her that her work is done. She angrily responds that she is not done yet, and points out to Ganyuk how he has been arrogant on the first floor. She claims she will teach him how things work in Babel. However, Ganyuk dismisses her. He says a little demon will not teach him anything. He then requests admin Sandalphone to block all demon quests from approaching temporarily. The request soon gets approved. A large hand comes out of nowhere and grabs Liliane. She cries out asking what this is, but she is soon taken away. As she is kicked out, Ganyuk finally takes a sigh of relief. Then Ganyuk apologizes to the Game Master for interrupting her meal. He tells her to go ahead and have her fill. Then GM activates the Predation skill and ends up devouring the monster completely. The system informs Ganyuk that Avatar GM's Predation slot has been filled. Moreover, Ganyuk receives a new skill called Ignite. He then puts a cigarette in his mouth in order to try the skill one more time. He activates Ignite to light it and is surprised by how it works. Then as he leaves through the fog, he says it is time to go back and play the role of a teammate while the bodies of all the men lie around. The scene cuts to the village area on the first floor of Babel. Azazel stands before a sword and appears to be praying. Soon she notices Ganyuk, Soma, and Yancy arriving. She addresses Ganyuk, asking what he wants. Ganyuk says he has come looking for the 100 Survivors quest. Azazel tells Ganyuk that Krukosti should have explained it to him. She reveals that only 50 men are left on the first floor and that the outside hunters are being hunted by the Demon Lord. Then Yancy suggests creating a joint rank. She says that if there are 50 hunters within the top 50 tied with other 50 hunters, then all 100 can survive. Azazel says this is impossible. She asks if they know it cannot be done by force. Soma says that if Ganyuk wants to, he can do it easily. He even asks Azazel to believe him. Azazel responds that since he insists so much, they should consider the ranking system first. She asks whether he bypassed it. Moreover, she questions Ganyuk if he came up with something else this time too and demands to know the truth. Ganyuk tells her to focus on giving him the quest instead. He further tells her to give him the Holy Spirit summoning scroll as a reward. This shocks Azazel. She asks how Ganyuk knows about this, and as to how much he truly knows about Babel, while Ganyuk simply stands there watching her. The scene cuts to the sewage dungeon, basement level 5, where a monster named Grand Worm is screeching loudly while several people fight it. One man tells everyone to take their positions. The monster suddenly attacks one of them as the injured man screams in pain. Not long after, he is about to get hit with another attack until someone yells for him to dodge. However, the strike lands and the system reports that he has been poisoned by the Grand Worm's blood toxin. It warns that he will die within 10 minutes if not detoxed. This makes another person anxiously ask how they can defeat the monster without support. The monster screeches grotesquely at the two men. One asks what they should do, prompting the other to reply that he warned them not to go deeper. He says it is better to escape than die here. However, the first man shouts that the murder restriction will get lifted in the next 3 days, questioning if they want to die at the hands of the rankers. However, they decide that this is not the right place to argue and to focus on the fight. Just then the monster arrives and prepares to strike these guys. The strike seems very brutal, and if it lands it could cause some serious damage. Suddenly Soma strikes with his diamond indestructible skill. He sends the monster at some distance. Seeing this stuns everyone. A man asks who he is. Just then Yonsei activates Detox Blossom to heal the poisoned man. The man asks what is happening, to which Yonsei appears and reassures them that they are here to help. Soon the monster is spotted coming at them once again. However, it gets spotted by a hunter as he warns them all to dodge. Soon the system notification appears that the skill Ignite is being used. All of a sudden there is a massive explosion. It slams the monster into the ground. Then Gonyuk arrives and shows annoyance at the fact that the monster is so loud. He activates Ignite again to strike the monster with it. The monster makes weird noises as if it is trying to beg for its life, but Gonyuk doesn't stop. Instead, he intensifies the attack until it dies. Soon the system announces that Great Worm is dead. Gonyuk looks at the corpse while a man thanks them for saving their lives. He asks who they are, to which Gonyuk replies that it does not matter. He asks if they are here to improve their ranking. The man confirms, prompting Gonyuk to hand him a guide. He says it will help them clear the first floor. He says even fools like them can instantly increase their ranking. Another man opens it and is shocked to see that it details the Great Worm's attack patterns. He realizes it is absolutely real. He asks Gonyuk why he is giving it for free. In response, Gonyuk tells him that it is not free, and reveals that they must sign an agreement. He then summons Avatar Rajefti to draft a 1-year contract. They read that signing increases their score by 50 ranks. Furthermore, after the murder restrictions are lifted, the signers of this pact are not allowed to enter the village for 3 days. Moreover, the violation of this agreement will lead to instant death. 14 days later, during the grand summoning in the village zone, the system announces that the murder prohibition has been lifted. The 6th-ranked hunter, Grek, remarks that something strange is happening because not a single lower-tier hunter is in the village. Ranked 5th, Brandon says that these low-ranked hunters must have turned tails and run from the Ranker Alliance. Maria, ranked 7th, believes that these hunters must be hiding in some dungeon. Ranked 4th, Kim Song-cheol says there is no way they would be hiding since they will have to come back to the village eventually to upgrade their rankings. Ranked 2nd, Mua Jackson listens. He asks if there are truly no lower-tier hunters left. Rafine reports that besides monsters there is no response from hunters within 5 kilometers. He says that many have been captured. One trembling hunter begs for mercy. He says he has done nothing wrong, reminding that he has followed all orders. Song-cheol holds a knife to his neck and tells him that is why he must die. The man desperately pleads to Maria that he used to bring her breakfast and begs Maria to stop them. He even calls her Safisari, a fellow Malaysian, but Song-cheol slits his throat and is disappointed to see that the man only had a few coins. Another captive begs to be spared. He promises lifelong service. Brandon coldly says they all must die. Everyone is beaten and killed screaming until morning. Later, hunters search for the lower-tier hunters as Song-cheol remarks that these puny hunters didn't show themselves until morning. Song-cheol then tells everyone to gather at the dungeon gate. Just then, Gon-hyuk appears. He opens the village gate, blocking the path for everyone to leave from here. Song-cheol asks what this idiot is doing. Meanwhile, Grek is surprised that this could be Xi. Rafin wonders if this is the dog-masked hunter X as the rumors suggest. Song-cheol tells him to get out of their way and tells him to go see Jackson if he wants to join their alliance. Gon-hyuk readies his weapon, and in a cold tone he warns that if any of them crosses the line he will kill them all. At the field zone on the first floor of Babel, Yonsei is running a small stall where she sells medicinal flowers at a very low price. A young boy comes up to her and asks if the flowers are really only 10 coins each. These flowers are special healing items that can be stored and carried like normal items, although their healing effect drops to about 80% when they are itemized. Yonsei replies honestly and says she actually wants to make the price even lower, but the boy quickly tells her not to reduce it any further. Even so, he decides to buy a large amount, purchasing 30 healing flowers in total, and then he leaves the stall and continues on his way. After he goes, Yonsei begins to feel uneasy and worries out loud, wondering whether her big brother might be talking with the rankers at this very moment. Soma tries to calm her down and reassures her that her brother must have some kind of plan, and that everything is probably happening for a reason. However, inside his own mind, Soma remembers something more troubling. Gon-hyuk now has Rajefti under his control, which means he can influence not only low-ranked hunters but also powerful high-rankers. He also thinks about how Gon-hyuk deliberately sent them and the low-ranked hunters out of the village, and he starts to question whether Gon-hyuk might be preparing to go on a dangerous killing spree. At the same time, back at the village gate, Gon-hyuk is standing firmly in place and physically blocking the exit, refusing to allow any ranker to pass through. Several rankers repeatedly rush toward him in anger, but each time they attack, Gon-hyuk defeats them instantly, killing them all with a single strike. One hunter angrily complains that they cannot enter the dungeon at all if Gon-hyuk keeps blocking the gate, and asks how they are supposed to progress. Ganhyuk calmly explains that this situation is exactly part of his plan. Maria then steps forward and directly asks him why he is doing something so extreme. In response, Ganhyuk reveals that he has been given a quest that requires him to protect hunters ranked 50 or below from being killed. He explains that he has already trained those lower-ranked hunters and taught them how to increase their scores, but they still need more time to grow stronger. Because of this, Ganhyuk is deliberately stopping the rankers from entering the dungeon and leveling up any further. Still, some foolish rankers keep charging at Ganhyuk repeatedly and die each time. Ganhyuk does not show any mercy at all, as he ruthlessly kills the rankers one after another without hesitation. Some of them even try to surround him and attack together, but their efforts fail completely because Ganhyuk is clearly both smarter and stronger than all of them. He openly tells these weak opponents that they should start listening to him instead of acting foolishly. Ganhyuk explains that the low-ranked hunters will stop increasing their rank once they reach rank 50 and will not try to go beyond the rankers. Even after hearing this, the rankers respond that they have no reason to trust his words. Hearing their doubt, Ganhyuk coldly tells them that if they cannot trust him, then they should trust in their weapons instead, because he will kill anyone who dares to cross the line he has drawn. At that moment, Seongcheol, who is the 4th-ranked hunter, finally speaks up and warns Ganhyuk not to become too arrogant. He is not alone, as he is accompanied by the 5th and 6th-ranked hunters, Brandon and Grek. Seongcheol boldly declares that today will be the day they shatter Ganhyuk's confidence and prove him wrong. Without wasting any time, Grek suddenly attacks Ganhyuk first, but Ganhyuk calmly dodges the strike with ease. Right after that, Brandon follows up with his own powerful attack, yet Ganhyuk avoids that one just as effortlessly. Brandon eventually spots what seems like a perfect chance to hit Ganhyuk, but Ganhyuk reacts quickly, notices the danger and pushes Brandon away before the blow can land. Seongcheol admits that Ganhyuk's movements and reactions are truly impressive. Inside his mind, however, Ganhyuk is thinking that none of these 3 hunters are strong enough on their own, but when they fight together, they actually make a surprisingly powerful team. The 3 of them then launch a coordinated attack at the same time, and for a brief moment they come dangerously close to landing a decisive strike on Ganhyuk. In response, Ganhyuk summons his ignite skill, which immediately shocks and surprises all 3 of them. However, Maria quickly steps in and cancels Ganhyuk's skill before it can go any further. After that, Seongcheol activates a shield that boosts fire resistance to the highest possible level, and then challenges Ganhyuk to show more of his power, questioning whether that attack is really all the strength the number 1 ranked hunter possesses. As Seongcheol rushes toward Ganhyuk, Ganhyuk keeps using his ignite skill, hoping that the flames will hurt him at least a little. However, Seongcheol's strong fire immunity completely blocks every attack, making Ganhyuk's flames useless against him. Just as Seongcheol is about to land a direct hit on Ganhyuk, Ganhyuk suddenly lets go of his sword and activates a smoke bomb instead. Seongcheol feels impressed by how quickly Ganhyuk thinks in battle, yet as the fight continues he starts to grow more and more confident in himself. He says that he has always been curious about how many coins the number 1 ranked hunter would drop after dying, and he believes that he is finally about to discover the answer. With that, Seongcheol summons his 2 avatars, Takazamaru and Roadblock, and orders them to kill Ganhyuk immediately. At the same time, Brandon activates his decapitation skill along with his whirlwind slash, preparing to finish Ganhyuk off. Ganhyuk, however, calmly activates his skill modification and begins releasing ignite from the back end of his weapon. After triggering the ignition boost, Ganhyuk suddenly charges straight toward Brandon and Grek in an instant. His movement is so fast that neither of them can even see him clearly. In just a moment, Ganhyuk swings his weapon twice, landing one powerful slash on Brandon and another on Grek, both strikes causing severe bleeding. When the smoke finally clears, Seongcheol loudly calls out to his 2 allies, but neither of them answers. It soon becomes clear that 2 of the top-ranked hunters have been defeated almost instantly. The surrounding hunters begin to murmur among themselves, asking one another if anyone actually saw what happened, because none of them were able to catch the moment that led to Brandon's and Grek's deaths. They start to wonder in fear whether Ganhyuk might not even be human at all, but some kind of terrifying monster. Meanwhile, as Seongcheol slowly turns his head, he suddenly realizes that Ganhyuk is standing right in front of him. Ganhyuk is holding his sword, and the blade is covered in fresh blood, making the situation even more frightening. Ganhyuk then summons his own avatar called Peltest, and activates the Legion shield to protect himself. After turning on his ignition boost, Ganhyuk rushes straight towards Seongcheol at such an incredible speed that no one is able to see his movement clearly. When everyone's vision finally clears, they realize that Ganhyuk is now standing right in front of Seongcheol with his sword pressed against Seongcheol's throat, ready to finish him off. Terrified, Seongcheol immediately begins begging for his life and pleads with Ganhyuk to spare him. Just as Ganhyuk is about to deliver the final blow, a powerful attack suddenly falls from the sky and forces Ganhyuk away from Seongcheol, breaking the moment. Right after that, another ranker descends from above and casually comments that Seongcheol has caused quite a scene here. When Ganhyuk looks at this newcomer, he quickly recognizes him as Mua Jackson, the hunter who holds the second rank. Hearing Ganhyuk say his name, Jackson responds that he is not sure whether he should feel honored that the infamous Ganhyuk actually knows who he is. Jackson then admits that he already knew Ganhyuk was not an ordinary person, but he never expected Ganhyuk to be this entertaining to face. Ganhyuk coldly warns Jackson that if he plans to treat this like a game, he will be risking his life. Unlike the others, Jackson proves to be a clever ranker who understands both his own abilities and his limits. He calmly explains to Gonhyuk that in a one-on-one battle, he knows he would have no chance of defeating him. However, on a battlefield filled with allies, Jackson believes that Gonhyuk will never be able to win. After saying this, Jackson summons his avatar Centurion and activates a special skill called Shared Fate. This skill allows his allies to avoid being harmed by friendly fire for a limited amount of time. Seeing this, the other rankers finally begin to feel hopeful again, believing they now have a real chance to defeat Gonhyuk. Everyone starts preparing their attacks with renewed confidence. Jackson then orders them not to hold anything back and tells them to stop worrying about hitting each other with their skills. He even encourages them to freely use their area of effect attacks without hesitation. Finally, Jackson gives the command to open fire, and in the next moment, Gonhyuk's entire area is engulfed in a massive explosion. After launching their attacks at Gonhyuk, all the rankers stand still and wait for the thick smoke to clear so they can see whether they have finally defeated him or not. Suddenly, a shadowy figure slowly rises into the air from within the smoke. To their shock, they realize that the person who survived the powerful blast is none other than Gonhyuk himself. Seeing this, Jackson immediately tells the tankers to move in and capture him. Right after giving the order, Jackson activates the nullification buff and then uses Shared Destiny. These skills allow him to fight freely with his weapon without worrying about accidentally harming his own teammates, and they also remove the hesitation that usually comes with large-scale attacks. On top of that, these abilities create a chance for sudden surprise strikes that can break through enemy defenses without warning and catch opponents completely off guard. Simply put, these skills are especially effective when fighting as a group against a single target. Meanwhile, Gonhyuk is growing more irritated as the battle drags on, feeling that these rankers are becoming extremely troublesome to deal with. Out of frustration, he launches a triple ignite attack at them. However, the hunter who gets hit by the flames is shocked to discover that he has not taken any damage at all. At that moment, Maria explains that attacks like that will not work because of the layered barriers she and Jackson have created together using their skills. She then looks directly at Gonhyuk and tells him that he no longer has anything that can match their power, and that his chances of winning this fight are absolutely zero. Encouraged by this, the rankers coordinate their powers and unleash a combined assault using Air Assault, Flame Beam, Eruption Burst, and Dark Strike all at once, as Jackson orders them to fire. Even so, Gonhyuk manages to evade the entire attack with surprising ease. After witnessing this, Songchel decides that he needs to move in closer to Gonhyuk. Jackson quickly warns him to be careful and reminds him that his role is to make it harder for Gonhyuk to keep dodging the long-range attacks being fired from a distance. Jackson stresses that if the attacker rushes toward the dealer's position and ends up losing the exchange, then the whole flow of the battle could shift in a completely different direction. Gonhyuk summons his Goblin Sword, activates Ignition Boost, and rushes straight towards Songchel, but something completely unexpected happens in that moment. The durability of Gonhyuk's sword suddenly drops to 0, rendering the weapon useless. Gonhyuk quickly understands that the skill he used earlier has caused the sword's durability to be fully consumed. With no weapon left to attack with or defend himself, Gonhyuk is left exposed, and Songchel immediately takes advantage of the situation. Songchel moves in and successfully lands a strike on Gonhyuk, knocking him down. Seeing this, the other rankers become excited, but they urgently warn Songchel not to act foolishly and not to jump after Gonhyuk. As expected, however, Songchel ignores their advice and does exactly that. Because of this reckless decision, he is caught completely off guard when Gonhyuk suddenly counterattacks. Gonhyuk even insults him, calling him an idiot for behaving so impulsively. Activating Ignition Boost once again, Gonhyuk swiftly defeats Songchel and earns a large number of coins as a reward. Gonhyuk thanks him sarcastically while tossing a coin, mentioning that he had actually been short on money. After that, Gonhyuk summons Rajefti and spends 1,020 coins to level Rajefti up to level 10, which unlocks the tertiary abilities. Witnessing this, Jackson desperately shouts to his allies to shoot Gonhyuk and kill him immediately, but Gonhyuk calmly tells them that it is already too late. He then activates his skill called Clone Control, a powerful ability that allows the user to control the flow of time for a short duration. In an instant, Gonhyuk begins moving at unbelievable speed and starts slaughtering the rankers one after another. Many of them are left confused, unable to understand how Gonhyuk is suddenly appearing before them, completely unaware that he is manipulating time itself. One by one, the rankers fall, unable to react or defend themselves. Eventually, Gonhyuk reaches Jackson as well and defeats him without giving him any chance to fight back. At this point, Maria realizes that there is no escape and that surrendering will not change the outcome, so she simply accepts what is about to happen. Just as Gonhyuk is preparing to strike her down, Azazel suddenly appears and captures Gonhyuk's attention. She reminds Gonhyuk that his quest was about saving 100 people, not eliminating them. She then questions him directly, asking whether he has started to turn toward the bad side. Gonhyuk responds to Azazel and tells her not to misunderstand, clarifying that he is not on anyone's side. He explains that for the 50 low-ranked hunters, they signed a contract with him that they would increase their points until they reach rank 50. However, since the points of those that are ranked above 50 are so high, he figured that he had to reduce the number of rankers. Hearing this, Azazel asks if this is why he killed all those hunters, and reminds him that the angels only keep humans alive isn't because they like humans, which frightens the other hunters. She adds that the more people stay alive, the greater the possibility of clearing Babel, and that by killing strong hunters and leaving weak ones, it seems like he is working for the Demon Lord. Gonyuk replies that he is just carrying out the quest, and mentions that he is not aware of the client's intent. Moreover, Gonyuk reminds Azul that the angels cannot enforce their rules in human matters. After that, the hunters cry out to the Lord and beg for help, fearing Gonyuk will kill them, but he warns Azul that if she does not back down he will report her to Babel and believes that she knows the consequences. Then Azul says that if his goal is to lower the top 50 threshold, he should count the bodies, because he has already killed over 50 hunters, and she adds that she does not want to escalate the matter further, so he should lower his weapon. However, Gonyuk refuses immediately, saying that he is already hit, and explains that he hates pain so much that he doesn't even get vaccinated. He then speeds past her and declares that he will not spare any of these people and will kill them all, causing the hunters to scream and beg Azulcel to save them. Azulcel concedes and asks what he wants now. Hearing this, Gonyuk comes to a halt, and replies that he is asking for the Holy Spirit summoning book, and tells her not to make him repeat it, which shocks her. She says she does not know how he found out about the book and explains that it is for the person who can clear Babel, and she cannot give it to someone who kills his own people so brutally, which angers Gonyuk. He tells her she should just focus on doing her job at Babel, because even if humans are all wiped out, he will clear Babel alone, shocking Azulcel along with everyone else present there. So Gonyuk tells her to stop being angry with him and to stop blaming him for killing a few people that don't even matter, urging that she only needs to believe in him. After that, the scene shifts to people reading Gonyuk's contract, asking what is written in it because if they get attacked by the lower tier hunters, they will have to stay quiet. One of the hunters wonders what will happen if someone breaks the agreement, to which another guy asks him to keep reading. The contract further states that anyone who does not follow the rules will be immediately faced by Gonyuk, who will summon right in front of them, which makes them panic. At the clock tower, Gonyuk looks at the Holy Spirit summoning book on the system window and complains that it should have been added from the beginning. Ruffin then approaches X and announces his arrival, leading Gonyuk to ask if he has made sure that everyone has signed the contract is done. Ruffin confirms that all village rankers have signed the contract, and Gonyuk tells him to leave it there. Ruffin then informs Gonyuk that he has a visitor. Soon Soma enters the room, prompting Gonyuk to ask Soma what's going on, and reminds him that he told him to stay with Yonsei at the Northern Falls. In response, Soma asks Gonyuk why he is killing people, prompting him to question Soma if he really wants to know. Removing his dog mask, he explains that Soma fought for his country's independence before Babel, faced enemy troops and eliminated enemies targeting the leader, then asks how many people Soma has killed himself. Soma admits it is true, and Gonyuk asks whether he did the right thing by killing so many, to which Soma says he does not know. Gonyuk then points out that he has to kill because his goal is to defeat the Demon Lord. Gonyuk is not sure whether it is a right thing to do or not, but he does not care what anyone thinks, and that only his goal matters, adding that he is doing exactly what Soma once did. This prompts Soma to respond that Gonyuk will fall into the abyss. After hearing this, Gonyuk looks at Soma and recalls the previous recursion, remembering that he had encountered Soma before. At that time he had gone mad from the endless loop and turned into a killer who slaughtered hunters brutally. He had asked Soma if he still felt like surrendering, and Soma had said he could not save the world. Gonyuk responded, saying that it doesn't matter because he had already cleared it twice. Then he attacked Soma with the ignition boost skill, while Soma activated his Kongo Fuhai indestructible skill, and Soma, who had two powerful avatars on the first floor, became a tough opponent. Gonyuk managed to win that battle but was severely injured and had no Yonsei at the time, so he could not recover and eventually died, which is why the first battle on the floor with Soma before he agrees is quite dangerous for Gonyuk. Then Soma again says that Gonyuk will fall into the abyss, which makes Gonyuk furious. After that, Soma kneels to him, saying that he only wants to be with him, that he is different from those who make excuses to justify themselves. He believes that they can be the ones who declares what's right is right, and that for his purpose he is even willing to be a yaksha. Then Soma leaves, and Gonyuk watches from the window, noting that he managed it easily. Suddenly someone laughs behind him, and he turns to see Lilian, who says it is so funny. Gonyuk looks at Lilian in confusion as she reminds Gonyuk that he took down rankers and threatened an angel, so she decides to forget about these as a last favor. Frustrated, Gonyuk asks what she wants now, and then a system window appears showing demon achievement completed with 10, 20, and 30 kills on the first floor. Gonyuk notes the total reward amounts and observes that Lilian's side rewards are quite good. Then she pulls out a sword and presents it as his bonus, introducing it as the Cursed Sword, Grimside, a rare item he will never find on the first floor, and he examines it. She asks if he liked it, grabs his face and makes a mocking comment which angers Gonyuk. He pushes her away, tells her to stay away, and calls her an old witch. He then urges her to swap the weapon with something else because he does not want it. She asks why he does not want the weapon and why he is acting this way instead of thanking her. In response, Gonyuk asks Lilian to look at the one she is handing over the rewards to, and mentions that he has no need for a weapon that has no durability. He adds that if she has the vampire princess's ring he will take that, and she then shows him the ring, asking if he is talking about this ring. She explains that the ring absorbs blood when someone is killed and allows the user to control when they win a battle. Gonyuk tries to snatch it, but she dodges his attempt, tossing it up and laughing that this is what he wants, which makes him grit his teeth in anger. She says she cannot give it to him and cannot decide how to give it this rank. Ganyuk then comes up with an idea and says that he will kill 100 more people till the 3rd floor for the vampire princess's ring. She becomes overjoyed and says that on the 3rd floor only strong hunters would have survived, to which he replies that he will have even more fun. Lillian then comments that Ganyuk is definitely not on the angel's side, to which Ganyuk responds that it depends on how she treats him. She agrees to give it to him on the condition that he kisses her. She tells Ganyuk to prepare himself while leaning in for a kiss. Then suddenly a giant hand grabs her as Lillian is left questioning what is happening, while the system announces she is being removed at the user's request. She angrily asks why this is happening again, and Ganyuk snatches the ring, thanking her for giving it. She shouts for him to give it back, but to no avail as the hand takes her away. Ganyuk watches her leave and mocks her, saying he would never kiss a 600-year-old like her. Over at the final day on the 1st floor of Babel, all the hunters emerge from the village area entrance on the 1st floor of Babel, and Yancy sees Ganyuk, happily calling him Big Brother. Soma remarks that all the lower-tier hunters have returned and praises him for a job well done. Several hunters then thank Ganyuk for saving them, saying they owe him their lives and that they safely made it into the top 50, calling him their hero. After that, Azazel tells Ganyuk that his quest of having 100 survivors is completed, to which Ganyuk asks her to keep his reward ready. Meanwhile, one man notes that the atmosphere has changed a lot since he last returned, which Maria and her companions also observe. Suddenly an explosion shocks everyone, and Kratusti and Lillian appear. Kratusti smiles kindly, expressing surprise that they all survived and saying it is nice to see them again, which terrifies everyone. One of them recognizes him as the demon from the first day, and then Kratusti announces that today is the promised final day, declaring that only the top 50 hunters will advance while everyone below will die, and he asks if they are ready. However, everyone is feeling relaxed, knowing they are in the top 50, which displeases Kratusti, who complains about their relaxed expressions and feels like killing them. He orders the system to update the batch rankings while playing, but when he looks at the system window he is shocked and asks what is going on. He simply cannot believe what he is seeing, as everyone is in the top 50. Azazel then declares that this means everyone here will stay alive, filling everyone with joy and tears as they thank Ganyuk for saving them. Kratusti angrily accuses Azazel of interfering, and questions how all of them could have reached the top 50 without her help. Azazel refuses any accusations of interfering, even asking Kratusti to confirm it with his succubus, Lillian. Kratusti then glares at the demon lady, asking if she knew about this, to which she responds yes. Kratusti then tells her that they will talk later. Meanwhile, a man checks his rank system, wondering why he is no longer in the top 50 and has fallen to rank 24. Another hunter speaks up, saying that it's obvious that it's because of Hunter X because he killed more than half of the hunters, which shocks everyone. They ask if it is true, but X says nothing. Another man argues that what matters is they survived, until he is reminded of the 1-year contract that prevents their score from rising after signing, meaning their current rank proves they surpassed higher ranks and that breaking this order would trigger penalties. Chrissy simply smiles in relief, while Azazel grabs Ganyuk's collar, demanding to know what it means and accusing him of giving different scores, reminding him that he said killing rankers was to lower scores. Ganyuk responds that it does not matter what their scores are, as long as he is alive the quest will be completed, which angers the crowd, causing them to call him a cheater and protest that just being alive is not enough. Then the system announces that the pledge is being implemented, and as it activates everyone feels euphoric. Soon the sane rankers notice that these hunters are acting weird and stupid. Finally, Soma activates his avatar, Kongo Rikishi, and admits that it is all his fault, asking Ganyuk directly whether he is the enemy of humanity. All the hunters are still losing their minds after their stats suddenly drop to only 1, leaving them angry, scared, and completely confused. Soma steps forward to defend them and demands that Ganyuk explain why he would do something like this. He says that he always felt there was something strange about the contract, because the conditions were far too detailed and specific to be normal. Soma tells Ganyuk directly that killing that ranker earlier, banning the low-ranked hunters and stopping them from entering the village were never truly necessary actions. He believes that Ganyuk only did all of this because from the very beginning his real goal was to reduce every low-ranked hunter's stats down to 1. Once again, Soma presses Ganyuk to speak up about it instead of standing there in silence. After a long pause, Ganyuk finally responds and calmly confirms that everything Soma suspected is actually true. Hearing this confession, the senior hunters become irritated and upset, growing more annoyed with Ganyuk's cold and distant attitude. At the same time, Lillian turns to Lord Krusty and reminds him that she had been right to doubt Ganyuk all along. Even so, Krusty still feels that something about the contract is not fully clear, and he begins to sense that there is still something important that has not yet happened. While the tension continues to rise, Soma suddenly swings an attack toward Ganyuk, but Ganyuk avoids it effortlessly without even seeming troubled. Just after that, a glowing circle suddenly appears beneath the feet of the low-ranked hunters, and in an instant they are transported away to the unique race's city. Completely confused, none of them understands what is happening until a system message appears in front of them, announcing that the Angel's Covenant has been activated. After this announcement, Ganyuk explains that the humanitarian covenant they all agreed to with Babel has now been triggered. He clarifies that the purpose of this covenant is to protect those who are no longer able to fight or defend themselves. Meanwhile, Yancy remains confused about what this unique race's city actually is, so she gathers the courage to ask Ganyuk directly about the place they have been sent to. Ganyuk then calmly answers her and explains that this city is the human city located on the 5th floor of Babel. It turns out that the hunters who have been summoned to Babel 6 times before are now living in this human city, and this city also serves as the largest base for conquering Babel. Ganyuk speaks seriously to the hunters and tells them that they wrongly believe they are superior beings, but that belief is nothing more than a misunderstanding. He explains that most low-ranked hunters usually receive avatars that are practically useless in real combat situations, which is why they always struggle. Ganyuk believes that these hunters will actually be far more useful if they stay and work on the 5th floor instead. He adds that they do not have the skills needed to climb to higher floors, so they usually die before they ever get a real chance, even though they never truly had an opportunity to show what they are capable of. As Iz also listens to this, she suddenly realizes that Ganyuk cleverly used the system's rules to send these low-ranked hunters directly to the 5th floor on purpose. Maria disagrees and argues that the hunters have still lost all their status, and that they will be completely useless on the 5th floor. Ganyuk calmly responds by saying that stats can always be rebuilt again. At that moment, Christy speaks up and admits that he is impressed by how bold Ganyuk's actions were and how clever his plan turned out to be. As Azal then tells Ganyuk that if this was his plan from the very beginning, he should have explained everything sooner. Instead of answering her, Ganyuk simply stretches out his hand in front of her, as if he is asking for something. Confused, Azal asks what he is doing, and Ganyuk reminds her that she still owes him his reward for completing the quest. After that, he receives the spirit summoning tome as his reward. Soon after, Christy announces that everyone will now be transported to the 2nd floor of Babel. The group becomes excited at first, but then it is revealed that the supporters will be moved separately from the rest. Ganyuk feels sad when she hears this, clearly disappointed that they will be split up. Ganyuk gently tells her not to worry and assures her that they will all meet again on the 3rd floor. Hearing his words gives Yansi renewed confidence, and she looks at Ganyuk with strong determination and tells him that she will definitely meet him again on the 3rd floor. All the hunters are transported to the 2nd floor, and as soon as they arrive, Soma starts looking around carefully. He quickly notices that there are far more people here than there were on the 1st floor. Thinking about it for a moment, he makes a rough guess and believes that there must be at least 1,000 hunters gathered in this place. This makes Soma wonder if everyone here is someone who managed to reach the top 50 on the 1st floor. While he is still thinking about this, a random stranger suddenly approaches him and casually calls him a good guy, which completely confuses Soma. Soma responds by saying that he always tries to stay humble, but he honestly does not understand why this stranger would call him a good person without even knowing him. The man then explains that you can actually tell a lot about someone just by looking at them, and he says that he means this in a very literal way. He reveals that every person here has a shadow, and the color of that shadow shows what kind of actions they have taken. According to him, people with black shadows are considered good, because it means they did not murder anyone on the 1st floor. The man then looks around the area and points out that most of the hunters gathered here actually have red shadows, which shows that they have killed someone. He further explains that the brighter the red color is, the more people that person has killed. As he continues observing the crowd, the man suddenly notices Ganyuk standing at a distance, and he points out that Ganyuk's shadow is an extremely bright red, making him stand out more than anyone else. At the same time, Soma also notices Ganyuk, and Ganyuk notices Soma as well, but Soma tries to act natural and pretends that he does not know who Ganyuk is. Ganyuk, on the other hand, quietly decides that it would be better for both of them if they continue separately from this point onward. Not long after this, Demon Mastema appears in front of everyone and begins explaining how this floor will work. He announces that all the hunters will be divided into teams, with each team consisting of 10 players. That is the first rule. After the teams are formed, Babel will then randomly choose 2 teams at a time and force them to fight against each other. The second rule explains how each match will proceed on this floor. One member from each team will fight in a one-on-one battle at a time. If someone from either team dies or chooses to surrender, then the next member of that team must immediately step in and continue the fight. In order to surrender, a hunter must tap the ground 3 times while loudly saying the word surrender. The third rule states that a team will only be considered defeated when all of its members have either died or surrendered. At this point, one of the hunters asks Mastema whether the losing teams on this floor will die the same way the losers did on the 1st floor. Mastema does not answer the question and simply continues sipping his tea without any concern. Soon after, an angel named Nariel appears and politely apologizes to everyone on behalf of Mastema for his behavior. She then begins to explain the remaining rules more clearly. Nariel reveals that if a team loses its first match, they will be given another chance by facing a different losing team in a rematch. The team that wins this second match will be allowed to move on to the next floor. Sadly, the team that loses this rematch will be executed according to Babel's rules. After hearing this, the hunters realize that only about 25% of the people on this floor will die, which feels much better compared to the high death rate on the 1st floor. However, another hunter points out that the remaining 75% will only survive if they are not killed by other causes. In response, Nariel explains that the reward for murdering someone on the 2nd floor is only half of what it was on the 1st floor, so she strongly advises everyone to avoid pointless killing. Not long after the announcement ends, all the hunters begin searching for teammates to form their groups of 10. Maria approaches Ganyuk and asks if they can team up together, but Ganyuk directly rejects her request. Everyone is also encouraged to create balanced teams so that the fights will be fair. It is then announced that the team with the lowest ranked hunter will receive a special reward. This detail immediately catches Gonhyuk's attention, as he finds the idea very interesting. After noticing that the lowest-ranked team is currently searching for a strong member to join them, Gonhyuk decides that it would be best to team up with them instead. The weak hunters sincerely thank Gonhyuk for choosing to join their team, clearly relieved and grateful for his support. At the same time, many other hunters keep staring at Gonhyuk, wondering if he has lost his mind or if he is truly confident in his own strength. Some of them whisper among themselves, thinking that Gonhyuk might be doing some kind of voluntary act by joining such a weak team, and they question whether he is planning to fight all 10 of the opposing team members by himself. One hunter, however, correctly realizes the real reason behind Gonhyuk's decision, understanding that Gonhyuk must have teamed up with the weakest group in order to receive the angel's special reward. Even after realizing this, most of them still believe that Gonhyuk cannot possibly be strong enough to survive what is coming. Meanwhile, Maria and Soma, who have already witnessed Gonhyuk's abilities before, are convinced that the 10 opponents who will face him should be the ones fearing for their lives. After settling things with his new team, Gonhyuk casually tells his teammates that he is going to take a short smoke break. As he steps outside, Gonhyuk opens the spirit summoning book he received earlier, and notices that there are 10 skull coins inside. After thinking for a moment, he decides to use 5 out of the 10 coins, and gains several new skills in return. One of these skills is Sephiot, which allows him to borrow the power of the archangels, and as he becomes stronger, he will be able to borrow even more of their power. Along with this, he also obtains the skills Spiritual Collection, Purification, Holy Spirit Summon, and Holy Spirit Possession. While he is still looking over these new abilities, Nariel suddenly appears and expresses how impressed she is with him. With a gentle smile, Nariel asks Gonhyuk if he is Gonhyuk, the one who received the spirit summoning book. She also mentions that she noticed he was the one who chose to form a team with the weakest hunters. She explains that this does not surprise her at all, since Gonhyuk was already recognized by the senior angel Azazel. Gonhyuk then asks Nariel why she is here instead of Azazel. In response, Nariel calmly explains that Azazel is not feeling well at the moment. Before leaving, she hands Gonhyuk an extra item called the Tear of an Angel, explaining that this is a bonus reward for his decision to team up with the weakest hunters. After that, Nariel tells Gonhyuk that she wants him to be the one who climbs to the higher floors, because he seems capable enough to survive and succeed there. Hearing this, Gonhyuk becomes a little greedy and asks Nariel to give him a special dungeon key. Nariel gently refuses and explains that she must follow Babel's rules, and she cannot give out such valuable rewards without a proper reason. Gonhyuk then suggests that she could give it to him as a reward for a quest instead. Nariel reminds him that the greater the reward, the more dangerous and difficult the quest will become. At this point, Gonhyuk steps closer to her and shows a strong sense of confidence, explaining that he actually has an additional quest he would like to propose. He asks Nariel to arrange things so that his team will be chosen to fight in the very first match. Later on, Nariel goes to Mastema and explains the entire conversation she had with Gonhyuk. Mastema questions how she could be persuaded so easily by an ordinary hunter, but Nariel admits that she felt overwhelmed by Gonhyuk's powerful presence. Even so, Mastema agrees to accept Gonhyuk's request, and then announces that the team formation stage has officially ended. With that complete, he moves on to the next part of the event. He announces that the highest-ranked member in each team will automatically become the leader of that team. Almost immediately, Gonhyuk receives a system message informing him that he has been chosen as the leader of his team. However, Mastema then adds another rule, stating that each team's leader will be the last person to fight in the match. This news frightens the weaker members of Gonhyuk's team, as they begin to worry about what will happen to them before Gonhyuk gets his turn. Seeing their fear, Gonhyuk calmly tells them not to panic, and simply instructs them to surrender when it becomes their turn to fight, assuring them that he will handle all 10 members of the opposing team by himself. Soon after, Mastema announces the first official match of this floor. He declares that the battle will be between team number 51, led by Gonhyuk, and team number 13, led by a hunter named Nepper. As soon as the teams are announced, Mastema declares that the matches will begin immediately. Nepper studies the opposing team and notices that most of their hunters look weak, and with a faint smirk he says that this will be interesting. At that moment, one hunter from Nepper's side asks to go first. The hunters on Team 51 look at this man and notice that his shadow is deeply red. One of them asks his teammate whether that is a bad sign. The teammate swears under his breath and says they would have been better off if they were not matched against Nepper's team. He then glances toward Gonhyuk and tells him that this is not the time to be worrying about Gonhyuk at all. Mastema announces that the match is about to start and calls for the first fighters to step into the arena. The hunter from Nepper's team immediately steps forward, still wearing a wide, confident grin. He looks at his opponent and says that this person will be his first prey on this floor. The hunter from Team 51 senses a dangerous and unsettling presence coming from this clearly unhinged opponent. Even so, he focuses on one thing only, believing that surrendering might save his life. He hurriedly tries to tap the ground 3 times while shouting the word surrender. Just as he is about to complete the motion, he suddenly realizes that his arms will not move at all. The psychopathic hunter watches him with a twisted smile and mockingly asks if he needs help. He then calmly pulls out his blade and swings it toward the hunter from Team 51. The strike is so brutal that it cleanly slices off both of the man's hands. After that, the attacker steps closer and tells his victim that he and the rest of his teammates will be unable to surrender unless they somehow manage to kill him first. His message makes the situation clear. surrender will not be possible unless someone defeats him, which terrifies the watching hunters. The scene confirms their worst fears about Nepper's team and shows how cruel their approach is. The members of Team 51 can only watch shocked, realizing that this opponent is deliberately preventing surrender to force bloodshed. The smirk on the attacker's face never fades, reinforcing how much he enjoys the suffering he causes. The injured hunter's plan to survive by following the rules has completely failed, and the rule about tapping the ground becomes meaningless when movement is taken away. In this moment, it becomes obvious that the battle will not be fair, and that Team 51 is facing an enemy who intends to kill rather than compete. He then explains coldly that every member of the opposing team is meant to be his offering. After saying this, he kneels down in front of the injured hunter from Team 51 and demands that he summon his avatar. The hunter refuses at first and tells him that he should just kill him instead of dragging things out. However, the psychopathic hunter manipulates him by suggesting that he might show mercy if the hunter simply follows his instructions. Feeling desperate and afraid, the hunter finally gives in and reveals that his avatar is called Demon Bear. The psychopathic hunter laughs and says that Demon Bear is a very ugly avatar. He then summons his own avatar, which is named Ocelot. When the other hunters see this avatar, they are shocked because it looks just as frightening and twisted as its owner. Some of them even whisper that the avatar is extremely ugly. Meanwhile, Ganyuk calmly observes and explains that Ocelot is actually related to a jaguar in Aztec, since the original form of an ocelot resembles a jaguar. The psychopathic hunter then commands Ocelot to devour Demon Bear without hesitation. Ocelot immediately follows the order and attacks. From the side, Ganyuk comments that the reason Ocelot looks so deformed and monstrous is because it is an avatar of predation that has ignored the slot limit. It is then revealed that this avatar was only supposed to be able to devour one target, but instead it has already devoured 24 other avatars, including Demon Bear. Even Regefti reacts to this and thinks that the hunter who created this avatar is a fool for allowing things to go this far. Regefti also believes that the user of this avatar will not meet a peaceful end, because the avatar has already lost control and gone beyond what it should be. After the devouring is complete, the psychopathic hunter does not stop there. He proceeds to finish off the hunter from Team 51, killing him and officially ending the first round of the match. To make the situation even more disturbing, he then drinks the blood of his victim, making it painfully clear to everyone watching just how unhinged and dangerous he truly is. The scene leaves the surrounding hunters in horror and silence, realizing that this opponent is not just fighting to win, but is enjoying every moment of cruelty, suffering, and fear he is causing. The second round begins, and Rock Portel, the psychopathic hunter, once again attacks without hesitation, slashing down his opponent and winning the round just as easily as before. The brutal killings continue, and Portel goes on to win the third round and then the fourth round as well, leaving more bodies behind. Watching from the sidelines, Yuria quietly comments that this madness does not look like it will end anytime soon. The fifth round starts shortly after, and once again, Rock Portel emerges as the winner. The same result repeats for the next 3 rounds, with Portel defeating every opponent who steps into the arena against him. Soon it becomes the turn of the rookie hunter, who had earlier thanked Ganyuk for teaming up with them. Frustrated and shaken, he curses at his teammate who died in the 8th round, saying that he should have just surrendered. That is when Ganyuk calmly tells him that surrendering was never an option. Confused by this statement, the hunter asks Ganyuk what he means. Ganyuk explains that every person who tried to surrender was unable to do so because Portel has been using his skills to prevent them from surrendering. Hearing this, the hunter grows even angrier and demands to know what they are supposed to do in such a situation. Ganyuk answers by saying that the team leader is meant to go last, and that there is nothing he can really do right now to change that rule. This only frustrates the hunter further, and he angrily tells Ganyuk that there is no point in the leader going last if all of his teammates will be killed before he even gets the chance to fight. Ganyuk then coldly reminds him that he never said he joined their team in order to help them survive. The hunter argues back, insisting that Ganyuk did imply he would help them. While the two are still arguing, Portel suddenly decides he has had enough waiting and rushes forward to attack again. Without warning, Ganyuk activates his skill and forcefully pushes Portel back, shocking everyone in the arena who witnesses this unexpected interference. After this, Ganyuk explains something important to the hunter. Teams are actually matched based on the shadow of their team leaders. He tells him that if he had joined a team whose leader had a black shadow, then he would have only lost the match, not his life. After too much time passes, the hunter is automatically transported into the arena for his turn. He immediately drops close to the ground, realizing that his only chance to survive is to surrender as fast as possible. But just as expected, Portel activates his blood-binding technique, which prevents the hunter from moving properly and stops him from surrendering. With a cruel grin on his face, Portel slowly walks toward him and tells him not to be in such a hurry. He then mockingly asks whether the hunter remembers how the previous round ended and orders him to summon his avatar. The terrified hunter obeys, and Portel once again commands his own avatar to devour the summoned one without hesitation. After that, Portel pulls out his blade and kills yet another hunter, securing his victory in the 9th round as well. Now the moment finally arrives for the leader of Team 51 to step forward and fight. It is now Ganyuk's turn to enter the arena and show everyone what he is truly capable of. The surrounding hunters begin whispering among themselves, wondering whether Ganyuk can really face all 10 opponents alone. One hunter openly says that it should be impossible, explaining that every time Portel devours an avatar, he becomes even stronger, and since he has now devoured 9 avatars in a row, his power must be at a level no one in the arena could defeat. He confidently places a bet of 500 purple coins that Portel will win the 10th round. At that moment, Soma steps forward and places a bet of 1,000 purple coins on Gonyuk instead. Maria also joins in, placing 1,000 purple coins on Gonyuk as well. Seeing both Soma and Maria betting such a large amount makes the other hunters start to question themselves and wonder if Gonyuk might truly be stronger than they thought. Maria simply tells them to stop guessing and just watch what happens. Soon the 10th round officially begins, and Gonyuk calmly stands in front of Portel with complete confidence. Without wasting any time, Gonyuk activates his counter skill, which immediately neutralizes Portel's bloodbinding ability and forces Portel into a submissive state. Gonyuk then walks toward Portel without fear and coldly commands him to kneel, leaving everyone in the arena completely shocked by what they are witnessing. After forcing Portel to kneel, Gonyuk calmly slices off Portel's wrists in the same brutal way Portel had done to his very first opponent. Gonyuk then looks at Portel and reminds him that this is exactly how he behaved earlier, when he cut open his opponent's chest and left him to die from extreme blood loss. Even so, Portel refuses to accept defeat. In desperation, he quickly summons his avatar, Ocelot, and orders it to tear Gonyuk apart. In response, Gonyuk summons Sephiroth and applies Isham's sacred flame to it. He then activates Ignition Boost and charges straight toward Ocelot, doing something no one else had dared to attempt before. With his blade pointed forward, Gonyuk skillfully dodges Ocelot's attack, moves around it with speed, and slashes it from behind. Ocelot spins around and tries to strike back, but Gonyuk once again avoids the attack and lands another clean slash. This exchange continues for some time, with Gonyuk repeatedly dodging, circling, and cutting Ocelot with precise strikes from his dagger. Little by little, Ocelot begins to slow down, unable to keep up with Gonyuk's movements. Eventually, the avatar can no longer continue and is defeated. Watching this happen, Portal panics and begins screaming Ocelot's name, crying out for help. At that moment, Gonyuk turns his attention back to Portal, rushes toward him, and slices open his chest, leaving him to bleed to death just as Portal had done to others. In this way, Gonyuk wins the 10th round, ending Rock Portal's terrifying 9-round winning streak. Shortly after, Mastema officially announces that the winner of the match is Gonyuk from Team 51. Upon hearing the result, Maria turns toward the hunter who had bet 500 purple coins and reminds him that he now has to pay his debt. Seeing everything that has happened, all the hunters are left in shock, unable to believe that Gonyuk truly won. Meanwhile, Gonyuk feels slightly disappointed because he had only used Sephiroth to perform spiritual harvesting and had gone through a great deal of effort to do so. However, when he notices how many people are watching him closely, Gonyuk realizes that continuing with such actions in front of everyone would not be a very good idea. Soon after, the second round of the match is announced to begin. The new opponent looks at Gonyuk and says that he is more entertaining than he first expected. He starts to introduce himself, saying his name is Edgar something, but before he can even finish speaking, Gonyuk suddenly charges straight toward him. In response, Edgar's avatar is summoned, which turns out to be a Simurgh, a giant bird. The Simurgh immediately flies at Gonyuk, attempting to kill him, but its efforts are completely useless because Gonyuk dodges every attack with almost no effort at all. Gonyuk even mocks the creature, teasing it for moving its beak around so wildly without any control. Meanwhile, Edgar himself is lying on the ground, trying to steady himself and recover. However, Gonyuk notices him and makes his move without hesitation. Soon after, an announcement is made that round 11 has already ended. The reason given is that Gonyuk's opponent suffered a powerful blow to the side, which broke his ribs, caused them to pierce his internal organs, and led to his death. The hunter who had earlier bet 500 purple coins begins to notice something unsettling. He realizes that Gonyuk is killing these opponents in the exact same ways that Portel killed Gonyuk's 9 teammates earlier. He starts to wonder if Gonyuk is taking revenge for what happened to his friends. Maria quickly responds and says that Gonyuk is not that emotional or sentimental. At the same time, Mastema is watching closely and feels impressed by Gonyuk's performance, but he is not truly surprised. He admits to himself that he always believed Gonyuk had the ability to back up his extreme confidence. Mastema is also impressed by the fact that Gonyuk is carrying out the quest exactly as he had proposed it. Shortly after, the third round begins. Gonyuk's new opponent attempts to surrender, but it does not work, and he is killed with a single clean slash. Then the fourth round starts, and this opponent is killed when Gonyuk severs his central nervous system. In the fifth match, the opponent is killed when his upper body is cut apart. The sixth opponent dies through decapitation. The seventh opponent is killed when Gonyuk pierces straight through his chest. Each round ends quickly, and each death happens in a different brutal way. The spectators continue to watch in stunned silence as the pattern continues, fully realizing that Gonyuk is completely in control of every battle and is showing no sign of slowing down at all. The second to last opponent is killed just like the others, and when it is finally Nepper's turn, he is burned alive after Gonyuk calls upon his avatar to ignite him. With that, the final victory goes to Team 51. The hunters begin to think back to what was said before the battle started, that the survival rate on this floor was supposed to be 75%. However, after counting the results, they realize that out of the 20 hunters who have fought so far, 19 are already dead. This horrifying realization causes almost every hunter in the arena to tremble with fear, with only a few managing to stay calm. Mastema then calls out to Ganhyuk, saying that this level of performance is exactly what he expected from a hunter who had been recognized by Azazel. He turns to Nariel and asks if she feels the same way, and Nariel simply nods in agreement. Mastema then announces that the demonstration is over and declares that all 10 matches will now begin at the same time. He also calls for the next teams to step into the arena. After witnessing the massacre between the first two teams, many hunters immediately choose to surrender before their fights even begin. They are terrified and refuse to take any chances with their lives. Some team leaders try to stop their teammates, warning them not to surrender so easily because if their team ends up in the losing group, no one will take responsibility for it. Still, fear is stronger than reason, and most hunters cannot forget what they just saw. Ganhyuk ignores all these reactions and remains calm and distant, as if none of this concerns him and as if he already has a plan in mind. Soon, the next match begins, and this time it is Maria's turn to enter the arena. Instead of attacking, Maria speaks to her opponent and suggests that they take turns surrendering so that neither team will have to lose anyone. However, the opposing hunter argues back, saying that the leaders will still have to fight in the final round anyway in order to decide the true winner. Maria then introduces her team leader, Yuria, and Yuria calmly asks the hunter to trust her. 18 matches are completed, and now it is time for the final match. Yuria stands in the arena facing the leader of the hunter she had tried to convince earlier. The leader admits that he does not like her idea, but Yuria calmly explains again that this is the only way to keep everyone alive. She also says that this method is the best possible choice if they truly want to protect humanity. After listening carefully, the leader is finally convinced by her words, and in the end both of them surrender at the exact same time. To everyone's surprise, this plan actually works, and both sides are officially declared winners. When the hunters realize what has happened, they feel relieved and happy to discover this loophole in the system. It quickly becomes clear to everyone that Yuria was the one who figured this out, and many people begin praising her openly for her intelligence and courage. As more time passes, other teams start copying the same strategy, and one team after another manages to win their matches without any fighting at all. Meanwhile, Nariel approaches Mastema and tells him that the hunters seem to have discovered a way to force their matches into a draw. Mastema understands that this strategy is extremely risky and that most people would never dare to try something like this, so he asks Nariel if she was the one who revealed this method to them. Nariel shakes her head and denies the claim, explaining that it was Yuria who was convincing enough to persuade others and brave enough to test the strategy herself first. Because of this, Nariel decides to grant Yuria a special and unique title as a reward, naming her the second floor rescuer. When everyone hears that an angel has personally recognized Yuria, the praise around her grows even louder. Many hunters openly admire her for what she accomplished. Yuria then politely bows to Nariel to show her gratitude for receiving such an honor. After that, Yuria walks over to Ganhyuk and tells him directly that the way he handled things on the first floor was very wrong. Instead of arguing or replying to her words, Ganhyuk simply looks straight into her eyes and begins clapping, offering his response through silent acknowledgement rather than speech. The final match begins, and just like before, both contestants choose to use the draw strategy, successfully ending the battle without any fighting. Shortly after, Nariel announces that with the completion of this match, all events on the second floor of Babel have officially come to an end. She reveals that out of a total of 1,000 hunters, 794 will advance to the third floor. Hearing this number makes the hunters extremely happy because it is higher than the originally expected survival rate of 75%. One hunter loudly reminds everyone that this outcome is all thanks to Yuria's actions. As soon as he says this, the crowd begins chanting Yuria's name in appreciation and gratitude. Mastema then raises his voice and asks everyone to calm down, explaining that he still has an important announcement to make. He tells the hunters that they will be given one full day of free time before they are transferred to the third floor. During this free time, they are allowed to enter the boss dungeons located on the second floor. He explains that these boss rooms exist in all 4 directions: north, south, east, and west. The hunters are free to choose which dungeon they want to enter, but Mastema strongly advises them to form parties before going inside, because these dungeons are extremely difficult. He also warns them that once they enter a boss dungeon, they will not be allowed to leave until they manage to find an exit. After this announcement, Maria lifts Yuria's hand high and asks the crowd if they would like to join the party of the savior of the second floor to go on boss raids together. Many hunters immediately volunteer, eager to fight alongside Yuria. Maria then turns to Yuria and tells her that this is a good opportunity, especially since she wanted to spread positive influence among others. Very quickly, Yuria gathers hundreds of hunters into her party without any trouble. Watching this happen, both Nariel and Mastema feel impressed, realizing that Yuria is not only talented but also someone capable of earning the trust and loyalty of many people who are willing to follow her lead. Mastema then turns to Nariel and comments that while her favorite hunter is busy gathering followers, Azazel's chosen hunter seems to be more interested in doing business with them. At that moment, Ganhyuk appears in front of the two and calmly tells them that they still have a quest to settle. He also adds that he has an additional quest he would like to propose afterward. It is then revealed what their previous quest, called Exemplar, was actually about. In this quest, Ganhyuk was required to create a brutal and shocking scene that would plant fear into the hearts of the hunters, so that this fear would later improve the overall survival rate in the remaining matches. The impact of Ganyuk's actions would be measured using the Devil's Casualty calculator, and if his contribution to the improved survival rate exceeded 60%, the quest would be considered a success. Nariel tells Ganyuk that he has failed the quest because she believes the person who truly raised the survival rate was Yuria, not him. Ganyuk calmly insists that they run the official calculation using the Devil's calculator. Mastema agrees and says that they will follow the terms of the agreement. When the calculation is completed, the result shocks Nariel, because the Devil's calculator shows that Ganyuk's contribution to the survival rate was actually 69%. Nariel remains in disbelief, unable to understand how this could be true. Ganyuk then explains that Yuria was indeed the one who discovered the draw strategy, but her plan had a serious weakness. Humans could have easily betrayed each other during the draws, but they did not, and the reason for that was Ganyuk himself. He explains that when he acted so brutally in his earlier matches against Team 13, it created deep fear in everyone's hearts. Because of that fear, the hunters decided it was safer to surrender and cooperate rather than fight and betray one another, which is why Yuria's strategy succeeded without anyone turning against each other. Mastema accepts this explanation and officially declares that Ganyuk has successfully completed the quest. After that, Nariel hands Ganyuk the bonus dungeon key as his reward. Seeing this, Mastema asks Ganyuk if he plans to enter the bonus boss dungeon all by himself. Ganyuk casually responds by asking why he would not, and openly says that he intends to monopolize the rewards for himself. Inside the bonus dungeon on the second floor of Babel, Ganyuk comes face to face with the southern boss monster known as Grendia. Without hesitation, Ganyuk rushes straight toward the creature and calmly tells it that he does not hold any personal grudge against it. Grendia tries to dodge the incoming attack, but it fails to move quickly enough, and Ganyuk lands a fierce and painful slash on its body. The boss monster quickly creates some distance between them, which pushes Ganyuk to charge toward it once again. This time, however, Grendia does not attempt to dodge at all. Instead, it slams its massive palm down, confidently crushing the spot where Ganyuk stood and declaring that Ganyuk is not yet on its level. Unfortunately for Grendia, it does not realize that Ganyuk was never actually hit by the attack. In the very next moment, Ganyuk is already standing right in front of the monster. He tells Grendia that playtime is over, and adds that he is very busy, whether the monster believes him or not. Ganyuk then proceeds to release Sephiroth, followed by a complete release of Malkuth. After that, he activates a special barrier called the Flame of the Holy Spirit, which causes all of his stats to increase by 50 points. However, Ganyuk knows that this powerful boost will only last for 2 minutes before everything resets, so he decides to use this short time wisely. To further increase his strength, he activates his gigantification ability. Ganyuk raises his sword and prepares to strike, while Grendia charges toward him with its full power, determined to kill him instantly. In the end, however, the final victory belongs to Ganyuk, as he manages to kill Grendia before the boss can even make its move. As a reward for defeating the boss of the bonus dungeon, Ganyuk receives an item called Nathaniel's Monument Stone. At the same time, Grendia's dark malice begins to seep into Ganyuk's mind. After this moment, a cutscene begins to play, showing Mastema speaking to an angel and saying that they will rise to even greater heights together. In response to his words, the angel calls Mastema blasphemous. She then tells Mastema that the day will never come when Babel is ever truly completed, and that dreaming about challenging a dimensional god is meaningless. After witnessing this scene, Ganyuk summons the Avatar GM and asks her to skip the cutscene. Because Ganyuk has uncovered one of Babel's secrets, he receives a black coin as a reward. The scene then shifts to Yuria, who instead receives a white coin. Maria looks confused and wonders what such a coin could possibly be used for, since she has never seen a white coin before in her life. Yuria calmly says that this must be a very rare and special reward. Hearing this, her teammates immediately congratulate her and praise her for what she achieved. Shortly after, Soma comments that it would be very difficult to split a reward like this among everyone, but Maria quickly responds that Yuria completely deserves the white coin because she was the one who put in the most effort. Not long after that, Ganyuk arrives at the scene, which shocks everyone present. Many hunters begin calling him a psychopath and using other harsh words, but Ganyuk simply tells them to calm down and explains that he is only there to speak with Soma. Ganyuk and Soma then greet each other warmly, acting like they are close friends. This leaves everyone else in shock as they start wondering how Soma could possibly be acquainted with Ganyuk. Ganyuk then hands over the Angel's Tier along with the bonus dungeon key to Soma. He instructs Soma to head toward the boss room located far to the west. Ganyuk also reminds Soma that there will be a powerful monster guarding the entrance to that boss room. Because of this, Ganyuk tells Soma to use his tanker skills together with the power of the Angel's Tier to endure the Guardian monster's attacks, make his way to the gate, and then use the bonus dungeon key without defeating the boss. In simple terms, Ganyuk is telling Soma to enter the dungeon, collect the rewards safely, and leave without getting into an actual fight. Soma asks Ganyuk whether he will come along with him. In response, Ganyuk tells Soma that he is the one who needs those rewards the most. After saying that, Ganyuk turns his gaze toward Yuria and adds that he still has some unfinished business to take care of. Soma walks over to his teammates, thanks them sincerely for letting him stay with them, and tells them that he will be leaving now. He then turns his back and starts walking away without even looking back once, which leaves his teammates shocked and confused by his behavior. To them, this only proves what they had already begun to believe, that Soma has always been nothing more than Ganyuk's loyal follower. At that moment, Ganyuk suddenly appears behind them and calmly asks if they have any complaints they would like to voice. He then adds that now is actually the best time to gather rewards, because there are far fewer people competing for them. The teammates disagree and argue back, saying that human relationships are not always about profit and loss, and that not everything should be treated like a transaction. Just then, Ganyuk notices Yuria and shifts his attention toward her, addressing her as the second-floor rescuer. However, he slips in a subtle taunt, suggesting that the story might not be so simple, and asks Yuria whether she plans to keep the white coin all to herself. Maria immediately steps forward and tells Ganyuk not to interfere in matters he does not understand. From her reaction, Ganyuk quickly realizes that Maria must have already told Yuria about him. Because of this, he directly asks Yuria if she is aware that Maria killed all the hunters who had no combat ability on the first floor for no real reason. Yuria calmly answers that she does know about this and says that Maria is now reflecting on her past actions. Ganyuk responds coldly, arguing that a true psychopath does not suddenly develop a conscience out of nowhere, unless they are being influenced or controlled by something like hypnosis. Hearing this, Yuria's eyes widen in shock as the meaning of his words sinks in. After a brief pause, she quickly turns to everyone else and asks them to leave the room, explaining that she wants to speak with Ganyuk alone. One of her teammates looks worried and expresses concern for her safety, clearly unsure about leaving her alone with someone as dangerous as Ganyuk. Yuria reassures them by saying that she has received a unique title, and that she is not someone who can be taken down easily. With that, she stands firm, making it clear that she intends to handle the situation herself. As soon as everyone else leaves the room, Yuria turns fully toward Ganyuk and asks him directly how he managed to discover the hypnosis. Ganyuk calmly removes his mask, lights a cigarette, and tells her that there are many different ways to figure something like that out. Yuria then summons her avatar and attempts to use her hypnosis on Ganyuk, but he remains completely unaffected and continues smoking as if nothing is happening. Seeing this, Yuria is genuinely impressed that Ganyuk is able to resist her hypnosis even without wearing his mask. She assumes that he must have some kind of special innate talent, but Ganyuk explains that he is just an ordinary human who has gone through too many harsh experiences for a cheap trick like that to work on him. He adds that once hunters realize they are being hypnotized, the effect will fade very quickly, and he warns Yuria that he could easily expose everything just by saying a single word. Yuria argues that she never used her hypnosis for harmful purposes. Ganyuk already knows this and admits that she only used it to gently persuade people to follow the draw strategy, and that she never intended to hurt anyone. However, he also points out that using such a skill over and over will slowly create bias inside her mind, and he is certain that she is already beginning to feel that change. Yuria then asks Ganyuk what he actually wants from her. Ganyuk answers clearly and says that he wants her white coin. In exchange, he promises that he will not reveal anything about her hypnosis ability to anyone. Yuria hesitates and says that she has no way to trust his promise. In response, Ganyuk summons Rajefti and requests a 365-day pledge. This pledge states that if either side breaks the agreement, that person will die. After thinking for a moment, Yuria agrees to the contract and calmly tells Ganyuk that it was a pleasure doing business with him. She then turns around and begins to walk away. However, just as she starts to leave, Ganyuk suddenly does something completely unexpected. Without warning, he steps forward and stabs Yuria in the back, quite literally, betraying the calm atmosphere that had just been established between them.